Oh, it's too late. We're live. It's Powerbombshells. I did it again where I didn't play the introduction. Should I just play it?
Sure, why not?
All right, I'm doing
It's the Intergalactic Soul, the Honorable Brother, the Revolutionary yourself, Darius Lockhart, and I'm here to tell you to watch Powerbombshells every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel. That's right, every Sunday at 1 p.m., and that's on time, every time, because when we stand together, what time is it? That's right, it's nation time.
It's Powerbombshells 171. I'm Mel. That's Sam. We're just two broads talking about the wrestling we watch. We're going to edit the whole front part out. We totally edit that out. Nobody saw that.
Fine. It's totally fine.
It's a totally crazy day. The weather's crazy. It's hot. It's supposed to be stormy. My internet's not working. I'm trying to grill before I'm trying to come on here.
Mel's microphone was playing her before we got here. So it's been an adventure trying to get on here, but we're here. We made it. It is Happy All In week. Just 6 days away now from All In. So we will be here on Saturday. So mark your calendars. And of course, if you're subscribed and have your little notifications on, you'll see it. But we will be live on Saturday because obviously All In is that day. We'll be here with our pre-show, and the main show starts at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So we will be early. I believe we were kicking around start times, but I think we're going to do 11:30
okay,
or 12, maybe 12. I guess we'll hammer it out. Or if you guys have any input in here, because the pre-show, obviously the AEW pre-show starts at 1:00. And so if you don't mind,
most likely go at 11 because we tend to go long.
Well, we also have a guest coming briefly on Saturday. I got to find out. I got to double check the time for our guest, but we do have a guest briefly coming in to talk about some things because that was the day that worked best for them. So we're going to make it work. So we're going to have a jam-packed day on Saturday. So make sure that you're here. We will clarify the start time for sure for you. We'll post it on our social media. Make sure that you have your notifications turned on because it'll tell you right when we're live. Regardless, we'll be here Saturday before All In. So that's
the most important part because it's a pre-show.
Yes.
It's before.
And the pre-show may run into the actual AEW pre-show. But
just
that's
a little.
Okay.
We'll do our absolute best. But you guys know us. We're on Wizard Time. We need to make sure we get you your hot takes and our last minute. This show looks amazing, actually.
Yeah.
It's really the more I've been looking at it, the more these builds have been going on. And this week was a really good week for me for AEW. I thought they did a good job, and we'll talk about that. Obviously,
really been killing it.
But I am like hyped for this show. The hype is real, Sam.
Same for me. I'm very excited. I'm so glad it's All In week. And I make beats. He wants to know what time zone we are in. So
we are Eastern Standard Time.
We are Eastern Standard Time. So yes, I believe that means I believe because of the time zone change, I think we're still 5 hours ahead or 5 hours behind. I believe not 6. I believe it's 5 hours.
Yeah, I think they're.
Well, I guess it depends on where you are in the UK, but I believe
there's the UK and Ireland, and there's also that we have different daylight savings. So there's a period of time for the year where we're actually 6 hours apart. It's silly.
Yeah,
it's like so we always mess it up anyway. But
okay, like a 5 hour time difference.
Yeah, it's usually I stick with. Yeah, 5.
You guys are gonna get pay-per-view at like a normal time for you guys.
Yeah, right. They actually have. You know what? This is excellent for you guys. It's on Central Time, which means that you get it at a normal time in the afternoon almost. You can like have your dinner. You can have your pals over. You're not like up at 1 a.m. all by yourself or with your only other nerd friend, like who's going to sleep over your place.
Yeah, it's like, well, and it's also, so this is how the whole counter booking thing started. They were already scheduled, and then WWE announced Saturday night's main event in Atlanta. And so AEW moved their time up and they're like, okay, well, we'll just put NXT up against them. And then they added Evolution for Sunday, the next day, who, by the way, as we predicted, their ticket sales are terrible because They waited 7 weeks to announce it, or 7 weeks ahead of time to announce it. And they booked it at the exact same time as Beyonce, who was across the street, as we've been saying. And the tickets are selling poorly. The booking for the show has been a mess. I mean, part of it, yes, was Liv Morgan unfortunately got injured during a match on Raw 3 weeks ago, but that kind of threw everything, that kind of threw certain things off. They had certain things planned for her, and now they're trying to scramble and figure that out. And it's just, this year they decided to have the two women's champions, who are Io Sky and Tiffany Stratton, pick their opponents for Evolution this year. So Io picked,
and then Trish came back, right? That's what I read.
So Io picked Rhea Ripley, like they haven't wrestled 9 million times. Even though that match is going to deliver, because they're gonna the triple threat match between Io, Rhea, and Bianca at WrestleMania, best match on the card. So like they're gonna be great. Bianca, unfortunately, she got injured at WrestleMania, and she's still injured. She injured her finger. So that match is still gonna be great, but we've seen it a lot. It is a title match, and then yes, Tiffany Stratton challenged Trish Stratus because they were partners at Elimination Chamber. She was saying that you can't have Evolution without Trish. She wanted to challenge her, so she challenged her. Her title is also on the line, and then the winner of that match faces Jade at SummerSlam, because Jade won Queen of the Ring in Saudi Arabia a week ago. So that's how that's happening. Oh, but because Liv is injured, she was one half of the tag team champions with Raquel Rodriguez. So Roxanne Perez is now taken her spot as the tag team champion. And so to prove that they deserve to be tag team champions, they have to wrestle. They're going to be in a 4-way match, and they have to wrestle one team from Raw, one team from SmackDown, and one team from NXT in a 4-way. And the SmackDown team was determined in a triple threat match on Friday, and it was an actual tag team, the Secret Service, which is Piper Niven and Alba Fire. They're Chelsea Green's service women, her Secret Service agent. So they're the Secret Service. They're actually very good. Mia
That's
Yim,
actually kind of clever.
I love it. She calls her, they're not agents, they're slagents. It's great.
That's kind of fun.
And they dress and they wear suits like they're in the Secret Service. Like
that's amazing.
It's really great, and it actually works really well for everything that Chelsea does. So they are an actual tag team, and then Mia Yim and B-Fab have tagged on and off. So like they're more of a tag team than Charlotte and Alexa Bliss. And so Charlotte and Alexa Bliss have been doing this thing of, we're not friends. Charlotte doesn't want anything to do with Alexa. So, of course, Alexa was like, well, if you want gold, you're going to have to team with me. And so, of course, because they're the two biggest superstars, you've got to have them on Evolution. But because of, I guess, everything that happened, it is now, they are the tag team that is going in. So they've had one tag team match together and are now competing for the tag titles at Evolution. And so the Raw team, I think, will be determined tomorrow, and I guess the NXT team will be determined Tuesday. JC Jane is defending her NXT Women's Championship against Jordynne Grace. And I believe, there's a battle royal, because the first Evolution had a battle royal. The battle royal, and the winner gets a title shot at Clash at Paris at the end of, I think it's the end of August. So that at least has something with the battle royal. You're at least getting something out of it, not just you win and that's it. So at least they get a title shot. And I assume that's where they're going to cram a bunch of women, is on that. I feel like I'm forgetting. I think there's one more NXT match that's been announced, I want to say. So they're still so we're 6 days out and they're still scrambling to add matches. And again, I know the Liv Morgan injury definitely didn't help, but also it's just like the original Evolution.
Yeah, that's one lady.
It's to shut the women's wrestling fans up, and this is counter booking All In the day after, so All In weekend, and it's just it shows, and it's unfortunate because
I mean, no slag on Alexa Bliss, but there's plenty of ladies in their roster that they could showcase on a really seriously booked women's actual pay-per-view show. Just like it feels like you said, it's throwaway for the women to shut up, and it feels like it's counter programming to try and pull some viewership away from Tony. Yeah. And you get a Beyonce concert across the street. Yes. So now they can be like, see, women don't draw.
Right. And it's also MLB All-Star Weekend.
All the boxes of the institutional.
Yeah. It's right. They could cancel one of their other shows that they have per year. It's really sad. I mean, we knew this. We said it right when it was announced that it wasn't fair. They were setting them up to fail. The women deserve better. I hope I hope that the fans who do get to go and who are in attendance, I hope they have a great time. I hope the show delivers. I hope the women that do make it onto the card, I hope they, they show up and show out, and that they wrestle for the fans who give a damn about them, because we've said it many times, but they're bosses and don't give a damn about them. So do it in spite of them. Put on a good show. Yeah, regardless. I hope they have an excellent show. I hope that everybody stays healthy. I hope that despite everything that's stacked against them, that they can still deliver the best show that they can deliver.
But they still get a chance. I mean, the idea here is, like you just said, it was perfect. Do it in spite of them. Yeah. Put on take this opportunity and make them wrong. Like, there's enough. Again, if those women got together, and I don't know if that's the culture there, and we know how the culture there generally works, but at the end of the day, like, there have been women in there for a long time that are just like, say F it and go out there and put on the best damn show ever. The kind of thing where everyone's going, hey, AEW fans, I know you're watching All In, but definitely go back and watch Evolution when you're done. That's what I want to be hearing, regardless of how poorly.
And listen, I hope we get a match of the year contender on that damn card.
Same. I hope we do. Wish the best for it, no matter how bad the people that booked it and set it up are.
I hope the talent kill it, and I have no doubt that they will. I mean, granted, they do have to do it within WWE booking, but I still think the women will kill it. They do have a very good women's roster, and those women deserve to have the attention on them. And yes, we know, everything that's behind it, but I really hope that for the fans who watch and the fans who are there, and for the women, people who care about women's wrestling, I hope it's a success in that way. And I hope it's a successful show as far as the matches go and things like that. And it's just really unfortunate. Ron says Evolution 2 deserved to be held on its own weekend. Triple H needs to pay for his crimes.
On 100%. So many levels, Ron, you are.
Yes.
Ron is wise.
Exactly. Yeah, and I don't know that I'll be watching it live because it's Nikki's birthday that day, and we are talking about potentially going to a show next week. So we probably won't watch it live, but I will definitely get around to watching it because I want to support the women, regardless of the company that's putting them on and putting them in this position. I do want to support them. So again, like I said, I probably won't get to it live, but I definitely will make sure that I get to it. And I can't wait to hear. I hope
Nikki's birthday is All In weekend.
Her birthday is her birthday is the same day as Evolution,
which is the same day as All In, right?
Day after.
The day
All In is the 12th. Nikki's birthday is the 13th.
Okay, so she's on Sunday.
Yes, her birthday's on Sunday, which is Evolution.
I knew it was coming up. I knew it was in July. I was like, is it the 19th? Is it? No, Sam.
I'm the 19th.
You're the 19th later in the year.
Yes, and she's the 13th of July. And so, yes, I believe.
I knew because my niece
we're talking about, I guess we'll just say it because we are talking about going, DPW has a show that day in Durham.
Nice.
And it's their tag team festival. And we're Core Center on that show. Cedric Alexander is on that show. LeBron Coe's on. And then to make it even more incredible, they are bringing in my tarot reader, Beast Mortos. because they brought him in before, but they were in New Jersey, and so this time they're bringing him in, and he's teaming with Jake Something, who Nikki and I love. Jake Something.
That's amazing. That is like made for you guys.
Yeah, so I think
that whole show sounds like they booked it for you too.
Right. And we love tag team wrestling. So a tag team festival.
They knew it was your birthday. They knew you loved that, and they gave you like the show of a lifetime.
Right, exactly. And they're like, we know you can't go to All In, but here's
a suitable, excellent alternative, because it's indie wrestling, and indie wrestling always delivers, no matter it's always fun to go to indie wrestling. That's actually amazing. Like, I'm going to Ren Fair that day. So
yeah, I think we've been talking about it. I think we are going to try to go to that show, especially because the car that I currently have is much better condition than my old car, and it's yet to go on a road trip. So I was like, you know what? Why I feel like this is a good time to to make that happen. So I think we're gonna do it. Oh, and
Jen,
happy belated birthday, I Make Beats.
Happy belated! It's really fun. This is a cool time of year. It's my niece was, oh my gosh. Okay, everyone, and Brad will hear me here. My niece became a teenager on the 5th.
Oh,
now she's been slowly morphing into one anyway. I mean, the signs are there, but the official number happened yesterday.
Oh, goodness.
The day after 4th of July. So yeah, yesterday.
Yeah.
And so yeah, my July babies, and then our good brother John is coming up, and I won't say which he's not gonna live it yet.
Right.
Don't out him, but happy birthday, John.
Happy birthday, John.
A couple days early.
Happy birthday a couple days early. Yes.
But I didn't say a thing. No one. We can edit that part out too.
There are a lot of birthdays. There are a lot of wrestlers who have birthdays in July, like Zack Sabre Jr. I know Nikki and I have talked about it before, and it's interesting. A lot of them. So depending on where they're born, that makes them Leos, and Leos love the spotlight. So it makes sense that a lot of Leos are wrestlers. We were like listing them off, and there was like 6 of them. And we were like, oh yeah, this tracks. Leo's love the spotlight.
It also reminds you, like, I kind of figured out, like, because I've done the math, I kind of figured out I was probably a birthday present. Just from the day of when I was born versus, like, and my mother actually, my sister and I have the same day. Our birthday is on the 11th. It's just in different months.
Oh, okay.
But and then she later told us, you're getting a mom maternity and fun week now with the Powerbombshells real quick. So she said that, and she told my sister when she was pregnant with my niece to look about when your period comes, because that's when both of us were born, right around then, which stands to reason as a lady when you start to really think about it.
Right.
And so I actually, now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, well, what else are you going to do in November and December? It's dark.
And I was born in November. So then I figure I
that's probably why most babies are born in June and July, and
then also lots of November babies because of Valentine's Day.
Right, exactly. So, I always like that.
How I got here.
There you go. So you know, it was one of those things that, like, I just recognize patterns because I'm that kind of nerd. Like, I'm just a dork about things, and so, like, eventually you start. And I worked with kids, so eventually you start, because you get to know moms and they're pregnant, and they're whatever. So again, I've just been around a lot of families and around a lot of women who are, with young children or who have been pregnant or all of these things. So it's like, and I was looking through, of course, I was being all nostalgic, and I was looking through all her cute little pictures. I'm like, she was so little. It was so quick.
I know. But
she had a blast. She got her ears pierced.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It sounds like we also sent her a little video, so that was fun.
Oh, good.
It sounds like she had a really good 13th birthday, which I'm so excited about, because these are like things that help you as a grown-up.
Yeah.
So much. And I'm so appreciative of my sister and brother-in-law, and she's such a great kid, and I'm just so happy for them. And
that's good to hear.
Holy cow.
And happy belated birthday to Maria. Maria's birthday was on the 4th, so happy belated birthday. Yeah.
They set out fireworks for you every year. It's so nice.
Yeah. Nikki said, she said she's like 11 days older than ZSJ. which is weird to think about.
It is weird when you get into that range. It's like when Bob talks about being the same age as Chris Jericho, and he's like, well, I mean, he can do that. And I'm like, but should he be? Think it through. You're not getting paid what he's getting paid.
Right. So. Also, earlier, Maria was talking about how your hat's like, I think it was Maria that said your hat was nearly taking up the screen, but then somebody else also liked your hat as well. So, Daza was incorrect. We are not wearing patriotic hats around these parts.
This has been a very mixed feels.
Yeah, we won't go super deep into that, but
no, we're not going to get into that. That's not our wheelhouse.
No, but
as human beings, I think you guys pretty well know that Sam and I don't want to see people in any community for any reason suffering instead of when it's preventable.
Right.
And certainly shifting wealth is not the answer to helping the most vulnerable people in our society today. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But we didn't do fireworks. We actually just hung out and talked to our friends, and we watched. We watched Sinners on the 4th of July. As a matter of fact.
Oh, nice! I've heard it's really, really good. I've heard great things about it.
I mean, I know that, but I loved it, and it had Ren Fair songs in it. Which
I heard that Ryan Coogler, who directed Sinners, I read a quote yesterday that he is going, I don't know if he's trying to or if he has already been named, but he is going to do the X-Files reboot. I don't know if it's a TV show or the movie. I didn't get to read it, but I saw a clip yesterday that he's going to do the reboot. And speaking of X-Files, I'm blanking on his name, but the gentleman who created their iconic theme song passed away on July 4th. So rest in peace to that king, because that theme song is incredible.
It's one of my all-time. So you know how some shows you just like skip through the beginning, but some shows you have to watch the beginning. X-Files was one of those shows. You never would like, even if, because I had a friend who was an older friend that was so smart, and he knew it was going to be a good show, so he taped them all. And this is back before. This is getting old here, kids. This is back before we had digital and streaming, and we could just pull these things up on a computer. Right. I had a good friend who video recorded from Fox TV the entire series up to when I started watching, got into it really heavy.
Yeah.
So I was able to catch up. I binged before it was cool. I set up a blanket in my living room. I was putting tapes into my dad's video recorder. Amazing. I was home from college in the summer. I was like watching through the night. It was amazing.
My dad and I watched X-Files together, and I don't remember like where we start. I don't know that we watched from the beginning. I don't remember. I just remember we watched it. My dad and I watched it every Sunday. Like that was our thing that we did. We would watch football and then we'd watch X-Files. And so like I remember watching, there are different things. Like I'd want to go back and watch X-Files like now, considering like, just because to appreciate it differently, and because to appreciate like the things that I'm into now, like I think that like I would have a different appreciation for it. And so I am really interested to see what they do here. And I'm not sure, because Crash asked if this is an actual different characters in Mulder and Scully. I'm not positive. I just saw the tweet. I think there may have been an article with it, but I didn't get to read it. So I am not positive exactly what the reboot looks like. I just know he is supposed to be involved. It sounds like he's legitimately involved in it. And now
that would not bother me at all. I love Black Panther. I thought Sinners was amazing. I love that he has that level of versatility as a director.
Yeah.
Like that, because those are two totally different movies.
Yeah. Right.
And Sinners is like an experience almost. It's
that's what I've heard. There's a woman that I follow on Instagram, and she has seen it like literally like 6 times. Like
I kind of want to watch it again. Like I'm in that place where
and then she like went the next day back to the theater to watch it. Like she's gone like 6 or so. I mean, she's also super into vampires too, so like that's like her comfort thing. But she was just talking about like, but regardless, like she was just saying that she was like, even if you're not like super into vampires, like she's like, the movie is very, very good.
It's almost not even about I don't want to go like too far because I'm I'm a purist. I like to like stay away from descriptions and all these other things. I like to know nothing about movies as much as possible as when I go in.
Right.
It was like a cultural answer. It's like, I would call this the most creative, if you want to put it in, because it is it is and isn't. It's the most creative use of vampires probably since From Dusk Till Dawn, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I've heard that it's like more of it, not, I want to say accurate, because obviously they're vampires, but like, I guess more of like what vampire, not that they're what they're supposed to be. I'm trying to remember the way she worded it, but like I've heard, but that's good to know from you too. And
it's awesome.
Daza said it's one of his favorite movies of the year so far.
And you know, I mean, he's literally the movie guy, so
yeah.
He knows.
Oh, and Daza, thank you.
Really pretty. It's just so pretty. Like, I've been thinking about it since I watched it. I'm like, you know, I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again because all the stuff I know I missed.
The girl that I follow has sometimes posted, like, because I think you can stream it now, and she posted.
How I saw it.
She's posted some of the clips, and it looks like, and I've seen like little, like I tried. She doesn't post any spoilers, but like I've seen parts of like there's I guess it's like a dance scene. Where they're like, looks like they're in a barn of some sort. Again, you
and Nikki will love it.
That's what
I really
does. Go ahead.
Just primarily because the theme of it will resonate with you too. And I don't want to spoil anything else. Okay. It's because you know what you know about it, and I want you to just go YouTube.
So I'm trying to avoid what I can here and there
anyway, but watch it together, because I think the two of you will have you'll be like, I don't know. I have a good feeling about how you two will positively react to it, because it's a resonant film for you guys. There's a lot in it that will speak to you.
Okay.
Because of what I know about what you guys
are interested in. To see it, but that makes me want to see it even more.
Yeah, it's because of what I know you guys are into.
Yeah.
So and then I'll tell you which song was the Ren Fair song later.
Okay.
Literally, Bob and I were like singing along.
Great. We were like, so thank you for Daza for looking this up for us. It is a TV series, and Gillian Anderson may be returning for it, which now that sounds vaguely familiar. I do feel like I heard something about her potentially coming back for a reboot. So yes. Daza says Sinners has a story that if carried on without vampires showing up, he would have been into it. So
yeah, it didn't. It is and it isn't.
Yeah,
it's very. Yeah, it's great. I enjoyed the crap out of it. I definitely can't wait to watch it again. I think it's very creative, and it's nice to see a creative film here and there when they're constantly. I mean, no offense. Like, listen, I want a Modern X-Files as much as the next guy. But I also think that there's a lot of creative artists out there. And because Hollywood has become so sort of...
Because it's easier when they afford the IP, they could just...
It's canned and it's palatable and it's meant for wider audiences. And I get it. And the 90s are over. So the culture of eventually something will happen, because it always does. It happened in the 70s, it happened again in the 90s. There's usually a guerrilla filmmaking uprising. There really is one if you go to like indie films and stuff. I mean, Kevin Neely is heavily into that stuff. There's plenty of amazing artists out there. So for me, it's like, I get what Hollywood's about now, and I get what big screen cinema is about, but I still I really enjoy the idea of seeing a new artist do something new and putting it on the screen. And challenging people to try something new once in a while. Because they might, maybe, just like it.
Right, exactly. I heard the new Jurassic World. I heard it was pretty good. I heard some person said that they liked it, but they probably would have waited to see it streaming. But then I've seen other people say like they're going to go back to the theater.
I had a first wave of my friends kind of not be satisfied with it. Just because they were kind of like wanting a popcorn movie, but they felt, and then all of a sudden the next wave of people, including, I believe, Daza, or maybe Brad, one of them, mentioned that I don't care what everyone says, I liked it. So now I have to actually be like, okay, well, I love those. I'm not going to lie. I love the Jurassic World franchise. I saw the original Jurassic Park in the theater multiple times.
I only saw it once in the theaters, but I went with my neighbor to see it. And then somebody was saying that, I believe they said that the new movie is more, they took stuff from the books more where I guess some of the other stuff did not. But she was saying that this one went back to the books more. And so I think that is why she enjoyed it. But then she was saying that like while she liked it, and she said there's nothing wrong with it. She just said she was like, it's a movie that she could have just waited until it came to streaming.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to go to the theater. We have a big enough television. That's usually what we do with the Jurassic Park ones. We watch them when they come to streaming. It's a franchise I enjoy, but it's not something I'm going to run to the theater to since the beginning, because the beginning was so groundbreaking and different. And
yes. And they were very scary, Maria.
They were incredibly scary. My sister would we would go together because we loved it so much, but she would hide next to me a little bit because she was younger. Oh my gosh. That's a great soundtrack, great movie, great plot. It wasn't anything, nothing like the book, but it pretty strayed far from the book. What they have been doing with the last two does actually go back to the first, or at least I've read 1 and 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so go ahead.
They're more into the stuff because there's a lot in those books. Michael Crichton was, he was a doctor, so he knew what he was talking about.
Right. Yeah, so Dawson says he saw the new Jurassic Park this morning and he thought it went back to its dinosaur roots and made them majestic and terrifying again. Setting was lush and the score was great.
Cool.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
I'm always excited. Again, it's not like I'm not going to watch it. Those I'm like an automatic when it comes on streaming. That's for me.
Yeah.
We're limited cinema goers because we go for very specific things and very specific reasons. And it's usually a Marvel movie, I'm not going to lie, or a Star Wars movie, but.
Yes, Nikki said she was supposed to go with us and our neighbor, but our mom wouldn't let us because she thought it would be too scary for Nikki. It probably was, but she says she's still mad about not going and she still hasn't seen them.
Oh no! I feel like we all need to sit down and watch Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I haven't. It's been a really long time since I've watched it, and
you guys should watch it together.
So I want to watch it now through as an adult to see
it's good. It holds up.
And then I do want to go back to Daw's tweet or comment real quick, and he said he should have said that he still would have been into Sinners. That's how good the story was, and it works by itself when the vampires is a bonus.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Daza it's an either. What he said. He surmised it perfectly, and he's good at that stuff. Daza talks about movies a lot, in case you didn't tell from his handle there, and that's why I take Daza's opinion seriously when he's saying something that and also the people in our movie channel are pretty much, we have good discussion. There's good discussions about movies. It's not moviepoopshoot.com. It's actually people having to discourse about the art that they're imbibing. So but there is wrestling on this show, I think.
Yeah, I was like, I guess we should get into the wrestling.
Well, we talked about the women's wrestling.
We did, and we will get back into it. So that was just a little.
Everyone loves dinosaurs.
It's a little. Sometimes you got to go on side quests and bring it back in. They all kind of relate them with films and wrestling and a lot of. What is that?
Well, it's kind of funny since they always tell us it's fake, but they go to Jurassic Park. So.
Right.
But those dinosaurs are seriously real.
They used to be anyway.
They were at one point, yeah.
One time. And then there's some theories about what happened. I think most of us agree on the one theory, but of course, depending on how you were raised. So sometimes how you were raised, you might have some different things, but Jurassic Park is there for you. Nikki. Moose does not think that, if I remember correctly, Moose doesn't think that he thinks that dinosaurs don't exist, right? Or never existed. Isn't that what?
Or no, if he's a creationist, the dinosaurs wouldn't have existed.
I think if I remember correct, because he's a flat earther, doesn't believe in a lot of things. But yeah, I'm trying to remember the exact tweet. I think he does not think. I think he says dinosaurs did not exist.
So he's like, the moon landing didn't happen. The
probably so.
Chemtrails,
along with being a domestic abuser.
Oh, wow, Moose. Right.
When he was a football player, that's why he was kicked off the team.
Oh, good Lord. This is why we can't have nice things.
No, that's why I don't like him. I mean, I laugh at some of the things he says, but that's why I don't like him, and I don't follow him, and it annoys me.
0 out of 0, Moose.
Yeah, that's
do not recommend.
And if you bring that up, he will, and that was another thing. So people were talking about it a few years ago. Can't remember if this was prior to speaking out or right around speaking out. It was brought up again. He blocked people who said it, or if it was a woman who called him out, he body shamed them. That was his response, was to body shame. And
so he just basically proves that he is exactly what everyone says
and
he
so,
is.
Yeah, I unfollowed him a long time ago, which is unfortunate because I did enjoy him until I found out about all that. And then I watched it play out in real time when he was doing these things. So,
ew,
that guy.
Land Before Time was awesome.
Yes, Land Before Time is.
That was my sister's jam.
I loved Land Before Time.
That was Allison.
Nikki and I were huge Land Before Time fans. Cried a lot.
I can't remember. I mean, I liked the movie, but my sister must have made me watch that movie.
I haven't seen it in a long time either because it
was like
it's so good.
An American Tale.
So
she made me watch An American Tale about 3 billion times, I think, roughly.
Sounds about right.
Little sisters.
No, I think he's just a flat earther. I think he's just a
flat earther.
I think, yeah.
My favorite tweet ever from that situation was the flat earthers who have members all over the globe.
Also, speaking of those tweets, that was also Flip Gordon. Oh my God. He had some of the wildest shit. Like,
I mean, I guess it's good that his name is Flip then, because that's what happened.
And still the craziest tweet ever, I think might be like the worst burn of all time, was David Finlay told Flip that he was the dumbest person he knows and he knows Will Ospreay.
That is a sick burn.
I was like, damn, David. And people have screenshot it, so every once in a while it just will come up in the wild on the timeline.
I love it.
Do you remember when David Finlay said this, or do you remember this sick burn? Or anytime Flip Gordon's name like randomly comes up, because he wrestles down in Mexico, wrestles in CMLL. They did not put
somebody finally booked Flip, I guess.
Yeah, he only gets booked in Mexico apparently. I think he does maybe some indies up here. But sometimes he'll be announced for a show and that tweet will pop up.
Because as we all know, the hive mind remembers.
Yeah.
And we love our dank memes.
We do. Right. Oh God. There's another person. Yes, we do. We do talk about that Finlay tweet often. Yeah, because Nikki and I can't stand Flip.
I mean, that guy didn't put himself out there as a bastion of inspiration, especially during the speaking out situation.
Yeah.
Like, I tend to judge people by the way that they act and, that sort of thing. So I'm just judging by what I see, and that's not for me. So
no.
Bye.
Oh God, that's probably the most that David Finlay, that Flip Gordon has ever and probably will ever be mentioned on this show.
Yeah, that's our limit. We've reached our limit. We will never ever mention that name again on the show. Your congratulations for those of you who've been with us for 3 years, and I don't think maybe one other time. He's not
maybe if we're talking about the original people. If we're talking about the original AEW All In, because he's on that card,
right?
That's where that whole thing. Well, it started on BT.
Yeah, that's my problem. Is it's like it kind of sucks because, and it doesn't. Again, we can still like the original BT and all of those things, and those were fun and funny in those times. But there are a couple of people that were part of that group that unfortunately did shitty things and are shitty people. And so
and that's
now,
unfortunate because one of them had a match against Hangman Page. That's the original All In,
right?
And the entrance was actually really funny, and then. Now knowing what we know,
it's okay. We can still enjoy it. It's okay.
Poor Hangman. Hangman wrestled himself on that card.
Okay, we'll call it that. He does wrestle.
So good.
He's often wrestling with himself.
This is true. It apparently started way back then. Greetings and salutations. Thank you for being here with us. You have missed some wrestling talk, but mostly movie talk.
Mostly movies and TV.
But now we are getting into wrestling. And yes, that Mystico theme.
It is, and it makes me want to go learn the song like I did with Kaze Ninare. I'm like, I'm that person. That's me. I'll go learn that.
The Mystico moment was like a Grave of the Fireflies moment for me on Collision. Brought a tear to my eye again for different reasons. That movie, that Mystico is God level right now. Though RJ City tweeted last night, and he said that he needs the words, the lyrics on the screen with a bouncing Mystico head, so he knows what to say.
Oh my God! Again, RJ City. Oh my God, it's brilliant.
I need it.
Brilliant. RJ City is one of my favorite, like, goofy, nerdy things about all of AEW. Like, hey, W, I don't watch it enough, but when I do,
we had been watching them in order, and we are so behind, and we need to get back because RJ is incredible. And I saw because the one today is Megan Bain and Penelope Ford. I haven't seen the preview, but I saw him. Oh, because he said it's up and it's expensive. It looked like they broke something. And then I think
the Taz one will be like evergreen for me.
The Eddie Kingston one is probably my favorite because this was maybe like the third episode and nobody really knew what it was. And also Eddie being Eddie, it was the perfect combination of everything. And it was so funny. And actually the one with I think it was Private Party. That one was really funny too. And that was like one of the early episodes as well. I'm pretty sure it was Private Party. But yeah, the Eddie one the Taz one's good too. But I think for me, the Eddie one is my favorite just because Eddie was just like, didn't understand what was happening. Yes. Ricky Starks was really good. Yes. Cause he did match cause RJ is Ricky understood the assignment.
Yeah. Nice.
Yes.
So good.
Yes. On the captions.
I like that idea. I'm right there with that.
Yes. RJ he was heavily involved in the Tony and Mariah story, mostly because he was, besides Tony Khan and Tony Storm, he was the only one who had seen all the films that they had used. And so he was heavily involved in it. I don't know if he still is. I know he was involved early on in the Death Rider stuff. I'm not sure if he's still involved in it. And I don't know how involved. Like, I don't know if he was involved. I just know his name was mentioned, that RJ was involved in it. I don't know if it's like to the extent that it was with Mariah and Tony. But RJ was, but yes, he was definitely heavily involved. And so I think he's great.
Yeah, he's
yeah,
and yay for that, because great storytelling.
Yeah. But yeah, I know. Leave Ricky alone. I've only seen bits of him in NXT, and it seems like some of it has, some of the talk about him has died down. But then again, I don't keep up with NXT, so maybe the people who are watching it think differently of him. I think Ricky's great. I hope he's happy.
I don't understand.
He went fishing. I saw in his Insta story, him and Cody went fishing yesterday and they caught 0 fish. And he said something about that they caught, he said something about a dead catfish. So I don't know if that's what they pulled up. I don't know, but he said and then he said fish caught 0. So
you don't always go, always go fishing to catch fish. Or you catch 1 or 2.
Yes. Nikki said she tweeted about the Ricky Starks episode and David Arquette liked it. Because David Arquette and RJ City are really good friends.
The hate for any wrestler that switches companies, like hating on somebody for getting a job, is the silliest. It's the silliest thing in the world. Like, who cares?
They're just doing their job.
People switch. Nobody's like bitching when somebody like changes. I sell real estate and I went to a different company. Nobody gives a crap.
athletes get traded all the time.
Yeah, and usually people just are like, well, that's just the way the football works. Yeah, and nobody says anything.
Right. But I guess it's because wrestlers consciously make the choice, and so people take it personally when they do.
People need to get outside.
Sure, sometimes I get annoyed and I wish they would not go. Like, do I wish Mariah May had stayed in AEW? Yes, I do.
Yeah, because it would have changed the trajectory and it would have been the thing that, we were looking forward to. But they're still doing a great show. So he, for better or worse, he adapted. He did what he needed to do for his company, and Tony is putting on a show.
Some time he knew that she wasn't going to resign, several months in advance. That gave him some time to kind of, figure out what they were going to do. And now we're getting Tony versus Mercedes next week, and that match should be really, really good. I'm really looking forward to it. And so, and then Tuesday, so Tuesday is the media call.
Yeah, it's on Tuesday this week.
Yes, on Tuesday, because I think they're also doing, so Collision is on Thursday this week, because obviously pay-per-view is on Saturday. Friday is Supercard of Honor. So that's how I still need to watch last week's episode. I haven't had a chance to get to it yet. Because Nikki's pet sitting for our aunt, and so I hung out with her over there some, and we just didn't get around. And then because I still had to cover SmackDown, and then I was on Collision live coverage yesterday, and then I've also the Cedric interview is still coming. I've been working on transcribing. Transcribing I love doing interviews, but transcribing is very tedious work. Especially because sometimes you have to go back and make sure, because you want to make sure you get the quote exactly right. Or we were recording it outside, so there were times where I couldn't hear correctly and I had to go back and rewind and turn the volume up. And then also Fansided, who owns Daily DDT, they're very specific about the pictures that we use and getting proper approval to use them. So we obviously don't want to use WWE photos of Cedric, and so we were waiting. So we waited to get some from Saturday night show from the photographer. So we had to wait on the photographers. I got them on Thursday evening, but obviously Friday was a holiday, and so by the time that got submitted, so I'm hoping the photos will be approved I hope it'll be approved tomorrow. I'm hoping to get it finished tonight, because I'm like 7.5 minutes into like a 13-minute interview. So it sounds very short, but when you're having to go back and listen and transcribe and write stuff around it, because like I don't just like type the question and then their answer, like I have to like
format it and put everything in there,
like that. So it takes a lot of time, and so
a lot goes into a journalist's article, guys. Even if it's on the internet, it may look simple. When you click on it and it's this nice, pretty thing, and you're happy with it, notwithstanding all the crazy ads, which also helps Sam because it helps pay her. But regardless, it's not because it's magic. It's because that creator actually had to do all the work that Sam's doing right now to make sure it looks pretty.
That's in between my regular writing stuff.
Well, that's I was gonna say. That's you have like
so it takes
8
some time.
jobs.
Like even like so when I started the article, I didn't even transcribe. I was pre-writing things, like talking about who started out as like I didn't go like deep in his lore or anything, but like I was talking about, and then of course when he was in WWE and hitting on some of the points of him winning, various titles and things, and going back and double checking dates and things like that. So it's time.
Well, if you're doing it right,
it probably would have been out sooner if this was my full-time job, but it is not. And so, and I have commitments to another writing company, and so I have to, when I'm writing for that company, I can only do that work. Like it's not like I can. Unfortunately, I can't, while I'm watching Raw, I can't transcribe an interview. I have to pay attention.
That's a focus shifter. That unfortunately our brains do not work that way. You would get nothing done if you were trying to do that.
Right. So I'm hoping
I think that
it'll be out. If it's not tomorrow, then hopefully like Tuesday. But I have to go back and add. I haven't been able to watch the segment with him and Mustafa. It is up on TNA's website. TNA's YouTube. It's like 7.5 minutes, which is how much I've transcribed so far. But I believe they have set up a match for Slammiversary.
Cool.
So definitely want to get that out. Plus, I just want to get it out because I really enjoyed our conversation, and we talked about all kinds of things, and Cedric had a lot of really good insight on just like what he's been doing on the indies and what being on the indies is like now versus 8 years ago. He talks about his relationship with Cedric. With Mustafa Ali, why he's in TNA. We talk about him reconnecting with the Hurt Syndicate at they did a signing a couple of weeks ago, so we talk about that. So there's a lot of really good information in there, and just it was really cool to kind of talk to him in that way. And also, like we were talking about, his mom and daughter were at the show. So that was a really cool thing. So yeah, but
you're just gonna have to deal with the fact that you're a really good journalist, Sam. So you're gonna do it correctly, and it's gonna take a little longer, as opposed to just throwing some BS clickbaity crap out there like some people do, and nobody cares, and that doesn't have longevity. So this is,
well, I appreciate it.
I prefer the way that Sam does it myself. I like her articles quite a lot. I enjoy them. I like that they're starting to aggregate more to my feed, because that way I don't have to go looking and they just show up on my feed and I can click on them.
Yes.
I was like, a couple times recently, because it's starting to work, I was like, ooh, I wonder if this is Sam. And I was like, it is Sam. Just because sometimes the headlines are like, I know this is one of her companies, and I'm like, ooh, that's a Sam headline, I bet. It's not like we didn't plan this. They catch me because obviously we have things in common in our thinking processes. So. And I learn a lot from them, because you do a really good job with those articles.
Thank you. I am trying to don't get burnout. I am trying. Some weeks are a little bit harder than others, which unfortunately, that's part of the reason why I have not written as much for Daily DDT outside of the Vince stuff, is just because I do have a lot going on. And so it's a lot. And ROH is not doing a lot, because I had been covering, obviously I've written on other topics for Daily DDT, and I don't unfortunately write for them as much as I had been, just because it is a lot trying to balance everything. But I have specific commitments to Wrestling Inc. that I have to uphold, and not that I don't have commitments to Daily DDT, but it's not in the same way that I have with Wrestling Inc. And luckily my editor, who is incredible at Daily DDT, is very understanding of that. And so, yeah, I hit, yes, burnout can really mess with you. I hit a wall really bad, like 2 years ago. And I just was having, like, my editor suggested like a simple topic that should have not, and he just suggested it like it wasn't like you have to do this. And so I was like, sure, yeah, I'll do it. And then I couldn't figure out why I was having such a hard time writing it. And then I realized it's because I'm burnt out. And like my article, it was fine, but I guess maybe to my standards, I didn't like it as much. And then like I realized, I was like, and I told him, like, I was like, I realized, I accepted it thinking, because I didn't really realize it was happening. And then I went to sit down to write it, and I was like, I don't want to write this. And not that the topic was bad, and then that's when I realized, I was like, oh, I must be getting burnt out, and that's why I can't. I'm having a lot of times,
and that is true as you go through the cycle. And again, like you also we're turning a new decade, and that always comes with complications that we don't even realize are happening. A lot of times our brain is doing work, obviously. Like we're breathing while we're talking, but our brains are doing a lot of work on the side while we're doing things that we don't really recognize until it becomes, sometimes because of our society, too apparent. And as I make beats, you are absolutely right. That's why Sam and I make sure when we're doing this, that if the two of us need time off, or if we need to do that we do this for fun, to compress and to get our thoughts out, and to have a little not so professional, and we love talking to you guys.
Yeah.
And we make sure, and we appreciate, thank you for being a caring human. That's freaking awesome. We love you guys too. We really encourage as us to not get burnout. So I think Sam and I, what I love about this relationship, because we didn't know each other until 3 years ago when we started this, is that we've become really good at during the week, we can have conversations about these things that are going on, and we can and it's real friendship where you actually relatable family stuff. And so really making sure. I think the two of us have an inherent checking on each other thing.
Yeah, and then we also have a relationship where we will be so busy during our weeks that we won't speak to each other at all until like we're prepping for like, are like, hey, here's what we can talk about on the show this week. And sometimes it's just because we're both busy and we both know that the other is there. And if we need each other, I mean, so sometimes, but I mean, yes, we definitely do talk about, personal things and things that are going on in our lives. But then we also are both, sometimes things get busy, like with everybody else, and with other friendships too, that happens. And so sometimes we're like, hey, and sometimes it'll be, we won't talk in between shows, and that doesn't happen often, but occasionally it does. And it's just because, life happens.
And I love it, but there's like, and I think a lot of people are learning this, and hopefully those of you out there that are watching are learning that, it's okay. Like when you feel secure in a relationship with someone, well, no matter what kind of relationship it is, a friendship, a family member, or whatever, we don't know, like the two of us aren't like, that person's not thinking about it. And it's like, Sam must be really busy. Mel must be really busy. Mm-hmm. It's the reliability of knowing no matter what is going on, that I could also reach out and be like, hey, this is going on. It's going to be a problem for this thing. And you're like, no problem. We go on with it. It's all good.
Yeah.
Because human beings. And I know that seems like overly simplified for some people, but I think if we keep putting that out there into the universe and keep encouraging that behavior, that's pretty much the best weapon against where we are right now. So that's, again, we try and keep it really positive here. And that's really cool of you to make sure that Sam's mental health is taken care of.
I appreciate that, truly.
And I mean, in the background too, that I always try and remember about Sam is that she's still following this Janelle Grant story too. And it can be nothing for months or weeks. And then someday you wake up on a Thursday morning and, oh my God, media news dump. I have to put all that other stuff aside, which if you guys understand supply chain, when you get backed up, it takes a while to recover.
Well, and then sometimes things come out, like the things that have been in the last couple of weeks, I haven't written about because it's more like this is stuff we knew was coming. Procedural stuff. And I was like, and so I just told when it came out, like my editor's like, hey, do you want to write about this? And I'm like, I would like to, but also like I have my day job. And this isn't not that it's not important, but this is just routine stuff that we expect. And I have day job stuff, or I have, like, I was helping, my dad was out of town. And so I was taking care of his dogs. And like that, when some information came out last week, like I had worked all day and then I had to go to my dad's house and deal with his dogs. And then I was doing and I was like, I can't get to it, unfortunately. And I still had the Cedric stuff. And so I was like, I can't get to it. I was like, this stuff that's happening is procedural. And I was like, so it's not like it, like we knew that we knew that Vince McMahon was going to do this week, that he had this time frame to file, and we knew he was going to file. Anyway. We knew he was going to file too, because his whole thing is, I want to go to arbitration. So like we knew. So not that it's not news, because it is, but it's expected news. So it wasn't like okay. So so that's been a thing, because like I want to stay on top of this case and make sure that I'm covering it and doing it justice. But then on the other hand, I was like, I've kind of had to be like, okay, this is procedural stuff, and yes, it's important because it is part of the case, but is not something that I have to make sure like other things are a priority right now.
We need to normalize.
And so I was like, I want to get to this stuff, but it's always, and their new favorite thing to do is that they make me that they want to do it while I'm like working my other shift. And so like I'm watching SmackDown. I'm watching a WWE product that I have to watch, so I cannot stop what I'm doing and go right for the other website during my shift for the other one. And so then there have been times, though, that I have finished my shift with Wrestling Inc. and then have started reading lawsuits, and have read lawsuits until 1 o'clock in the morning because of the timing. And I'm like, please stop.
But we need to normalize being okay with like not getting to something that day.
Yeah.
It's not as almost nothing is life or death. The stuff we have to do to keep our livelihood is obviously the livelihood stuff, but the rest of it is very much like can be put aside and dealt with later, or isn't something that needs our entire energy. So our society sadly does not like, we need to try to fight back against the attitude that we need to like work ourselves to death, and instead that we can actually be alive and not just working. So that's where I stand. That's why it's okay for I think anytime if it takes you a little longer to do a Cedric article because you're taking care of yourself, that's the best case scenario.
Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot going on last week because sometimes it's just how life happens, and
life is full of crap right now. In case anyone, I always say this to my neighbors and friends. You know how it is out there. We're all dealing with this. It's tough for everybody.
Yes.
There's a very small group of people right now. It's not tough for all the rest of us. We're on the same side here. We need to help each other out.
We do. And sometimes we just have to allocate time differently to different things. Like I didn't expect, I was like, oh, I didn't think that this was going to come up. And then I gave myself some leeway because I was like, well, now I've got to wait for these pictures to come in and all that so that I didn't rush myself. I mean, to get there. And so, but it's coming and I appreciate that. And I make Pete said, I worry about some of the people out here on YouTube and whatnot. Being online isn't so great. So look after yourself. Thank you. That is true. We have obviously covering the things that we've covered. We have run into that. And also some people get mad that I time women's matches every few months or at least once a year. I tend to deal with somebody who gets mad about that. For
Sam is another person who lives rent free in the heads of people who can't understand.
They get big mad about it. Nothing nearly as bad as like I don't want to jinx it because I don't want to bring something back. But yeah, there was a couple years ago it got real bad.
I have a friend also on Twitter who very much lives rent free in the brains of others to the point where they will sometimes make memes of him. And I cannot understand the mentality of being so like wound up that you need to go out and take an amount of unreturnable to you time.
Yeah.
Like that you don't get that time back.
Right.
And you just spent it making a meme to hate on somebody else to post on Twitter.
Yeah.
And so I
for internet points.
Right.
For
so
internet
my joke
points
with him is that you actually can live rent free somewhere.
So, it's the thing. Yes, it is hard enough. Yeah, and it is hard enough trying to keep up with everything, the good and the bad, let alone writing about it too. Look after yourself. The crunch is real in the creative industries for sure. And and that is the thing. Yeah, wrestling is ever changing, and if you can miss stuff. Like
sometimes, guys, when I come on here and ask Sam a direct question, it's because I literally read something right before I came on here.
I make these. I can imagine having. Yeah, it's.
Oh
it
God, yeah. Yeah, when it's something like that, you at some point you have to be like, no, I'm not talking to anyone for 2 days, and it won't bother you. I have my good friend. Obviously, he's an artist too, and we talk about this a lot because there's weeks where he's like, I can't create this week. But he's gotten to the point in his life and his career where he's like, when I can't work on that, I go do something else and I'm okay. I've learned to be okay that I need to put that down and not work on it. But that took a lot of practice. It does. You have to work on making sure you're taking care of yourself. So
for sure. Yeah.
Yep, right. Exactly. Humans, what?
I don't have people I dislike in my real life. I don't have time to dislike people online.
True that. Yeah. There's enough, and that's what I always say. There's enough of it, like right outside your door. Why do you need to? So, but this we have like that's why I love you guys because you are right.
Yes. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, it's hard to not to be exploited by your own job. My last major art project, I spent 2 months straight working on it night and day and didn't eat properly or nothing, but because I felt a zone and you couldn't stop yourself. Yeah. And that happens too because you want to.
Well, and nobody is
or you go into it like, and sometimes you go into it like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. But then once you're in the zone, because I get like that because with my writing, a lot of times that sometimes if it's a topic I'm passionate about, I will get in the zone and I'm like, no, I'll eat later or I'll stop it. I'll not go to the bathroom. Like, I need to go to the bathroom, but I don't want to lose my train of thought. And then it's like an hour later and my bladder's like, you better go or you're going to regret it. So it just, yes. Yeah, I can imagine that music.
Oh, you guys are, I mean, people don't recognize how much work goes into it really because it's
a lot.
Hey guys, using your brain for art takes up the same amount of energy it does for like working at a retail job, or you're using all the same brain functions. You're using all the creative like pathways. Well, I get paid to deal with jerks and ignore stupid people for free. That is excellent. Mark it down, book it, keep that. in your.
Those are note to self: ignore stupid people for free.
Well, and that's why I have the don't feed. You know me. I've had the don't feed the trolls mentality since we've met. Thanks for your contribution to our algorithm. I don't need to answer you. You're not engaging me in good faith, so bye. I mean,
right.
I can have an actual conversation with an actual human being who will actually use their critical ape brain and not their lizard brain. So,
right. I can only imagine. He says he gets a ton of crap from people and his government for trying to work for herself, and they're like, get a real job. And he said, been working. The music, he said, not to brag, but I've been writing music for 20 years, so no.
Oh no, you contract workers, you tend here. I don't know if you're in the States or otherwhere, but here in the States, 1099 workers, all my friends, Ren Fair friends. My sister was
freelance
writer. Sam here. You independent contractors out there, we feel you. You folks who are your own boss, but don't get to claim that as income for 2 years to start out, and then they mess around with you the whole rest of the time.
Yeah,
and make sure you're filing your taxes in good faith, because we'll penalize you, even though we're not going to let you use this to build your credit for at least 2 years. Eat me.
Well, thank you, Lady B. Lady B says you both on Sundays are my stop working and relax treat, so I appreciate you. Well, we appreciate that you spend your relaxing time with us. So we truly appreciate that. And speaking of, I meant to plug this earlier, and we'll plug it again at the end. After our show today at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, the third episode of the Watchback is happening, and Garrett, Steven, and Jeremy went back and watched the first Omega Okada match. And so they're going to talk about it today, obviously, because we are now 6 days out from Omega Okada 5. And so they're going to be talking about that live today. So definitely make sure that you watch that. And I'm going to plug their other episode of the Watchback because I was on it. And also because Evolution's coming up next Sunday. But Garrett, myself, and Keela went back and watched the original Evolution. And we talked about that and talked about 2018, what was going on then, and what we're talking 2025 Evolution, and how a lot of that's overlapping from the stuff that was happening then, and seeing the talent. And Mel was supposed to be on that show, but it had some real life things that happened and had to bow out. That's one of the things that happen is real life gets in the way of some of the fun stuff. So, but definitely check that out too. But yes, make sure you check them out, and we will remind you again. And then if you have your notifications turned on, then you will see it then. And so we will, I'm sure they've got a lot of good things to say. It's Omega Okada versus Gunther or Goldberg.
Decisions.
Yes, I love Gunther, but sorry. Man, let me tell you, Gunther has been cutting some really great promos, and it sucks that I guess that not that Goldberg brought it out of him, but like he's cut some really great promos the last 2 weeks, and I appreciate that, especially because he was getting like, we got to get him. I love Jey Uso, but we've got to get Gunther away from Jey Uso.
Time to move on.
It's time to take a break from that. Oh, Steve says the Wrestle Kingdom 11 was absolute fire. It's going to be fun to discuss. Yeah, I have not watched Omega Okada 1 in a really long time, and not that I have, like, I love the first 4 matches, but Omega Okada 1 is still my favorite of the series. I think maybe, and I don't know, maybe if I go back and watch it now, like maybe I would change that. But I think one of the reasons is because that's when I was like post WWE. I mean, I was still watching WWE, but I'd been kind of into New Japan for a few months. And then I saw that and I was like, and I of course was watching indies and stuff in my local promotions, but I saw that and I was like, that's what wrestling can be. Like this whole time I could have been watching like stuff like this. Like
I know, I felt the same way.
This type of wrestling existed and it was hidden for me.
I know.
So I think that's why it holds such a special place out of the 4, because it was the light bulb moment of, not that I hadn't seen good matches leading up to that, because I had, but that was just, I'd never seen anything like that before.
World.
And it was, and I'm a huge fan of both men. Like I love them both so much. I don't favor one over the other. Really, they're just because I came into it and was watching both of them, and then of course as with as the matches progress, we get more into the storylines of like I know how I felt when Coda was involved, but for the people who had waited 9 years for that moment, I can only imagine what that felt like.
Yeah, I know.
Because I knew what it meant for just how I felt and how emotional I got. I was like, I can't imagine the people who have waited nearly a decade for this to happen. And so I love that they are including Ibushi in this story. They're bringing him in, and that we've got and having Don Callis involved in it. To tell the story of Omega Okada, you have to have him.
I hope he's on the call. I really do. I'm not gonna lie.
I guess he could, because he's in Okada's corner, and he's still been doing that where he's been
keeping him present. I hope. I mean, they put him on commentary usually anyway, and they've normalized that. So that would be amazing, because that's like you're literally watching like the New Japan thing there. I got to watch 4 live. I came in right as 4 was about to happen. And so I was able to go back and watch 1 through 3.
Gotcha.
And 3 is the 2 out of 3 falls one, which is one of the most incredible matches I've ever seen.
It is incredible. And that's why I was saying, like, if I go back and watch these 4 now, I may change, which one is my favorite of the 4. And then because they're all good. Like, there's not like that series of matches. And I think that's one thing that's so incredible about Omega Okada is that, I know that there's a lot of hype, and I know I have high expectations for 5, but they've never let me down.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, and so maybe I am putting too much pressure on them but they have never let me down. And those 4, like, they're all incredible, and I love all 4 of them so much.
And I remember afterwards, because I had finished that 2 out of 3 falls match, and I was like, and it was John, he said to me, now the next one is a no DQ match. And I was like,
yeah.
He's like, so now get ready for the one now you're caught up with the rest of us who've had to deal with this. The next one is no DQ. And I'm like,
I'm so excited. And yes, Crash makes I loved it. Kenny asking Coda if he was okay after the Okada post-match beatdown was god tier. Injected into my veins. Simple but so effective. It's the little things. And Kenny Omega is amazing at the little things. He is such an incredible storyteller. I don't think that he gets the credit he deserves as a storyteller. I mean, clearly as a talent, he's incredible. And we go back and you realize, like, he was putting on these matches at like 70%. And you would have like he was putting that on at 70%. And but he's such an incredible storyteller. And I know the Bucks, you either love them or you hate them. I love them. And the Bucks are incredible storytellers too. And that's what makes all of this work for them, is because they're all incredible storytellers, and the story means so much to them. So I'm so excited for
it's gonna be this whole show looks great, and Omega Okada 5 is on it.
Yeah, right. Curry had said he's been binge watching 1, 2, 3, and 4 the past couple of days, and when this matches up with Saturday, I'm going to watch all 5 and decide which is the best of them. Yes, please share your thoughts, because I would love to know.
Be interested, since you're like new to but congratulations on completing watching some of the greatest wrestling you'll ever see in your life.
Lady B said the 7 and 8-year-olds I babysit for want to watch the other matches before Saturday. Can't wait to see their reactions. Oh my gosh. We'll see how far they get today. They may be tired after match 1. Listen, match 1 is a lot. And
it is a lot.
It will take a lot out of you emotionally. And I was an adult watching that, so I can only imagine. Yes, and their baby attention spans are they can only handle so much.
I'd be interested to see if this stuff is engaging enough, because they're the right age where if it was engaging enough, they could really, and there's potential, because Kenny and Okada are so good for them to be enamored of it, as it were. Because that's a good age for she's right. Like the attention spans are fleeting.
And these are long matches. All of those matches are.
They're emotional.
I'm drunk. Yeah, they're super emotional, which makes you just spent. And if I remember, are they all over? They're all over the half hour. I don't think they all go an hour, right? I think they're all over the half hour mark. If I remember,
they're all long. They're at least 40 minutes a piece. At minimum. Like I don't think any one of them came in under 40.
I can imagine. I imagine because of what I saw on TV, which it makes me so sad that I can't be there on Saturday. I want to witness that match live so bad. If it wasn't for hotels and having to have a car, that's as I mentioned last week, very first world problems. I had to have a vehicle and had to add, and what I spent in that vehicle took what would have been my hotel money. So I am very sad, and I'm also very, very sad. Well, obviously to Miss Tony and Mercedes, but I'm also very sad that I will not be there for Hangman's biggest match of his career. It's very selfish of me, I know, but I wanted to be there because Nikki and I saw him in the early days and from the beginning, and I would like to be in the building for what I would say is probably the biggest match of his career. Maybe you can make some arguments for other matches being the biggest matches of his career, but I feel like this is it. And so selfishly, I would like to be in the building, but thank goodness for streaming and technology and stuff. And I will watch it. I will happily watch it on TV. So
I'm just glad
the people who are going, I hope that it's incredible. And I hope that
I love our good brothers in the chat here have all the stats for us on the times.
Yes, I do see this. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Steven and USVA guy.
So the G1 match was under half an hour, 47 minutes for Wrestle Kingdom 11, minimum 39. There was no 20-minute match time limit on any of them. They do not rush these matches. And you do not deserve a rush job on these matches.
True story. They are excellent.
Steven says they did a 1 hour draw at Dominion. Kenny won one under 30 minutes in the G1, and then the 60-minute plus two out of 3 falls match. Yeah, I knew that 2 of them went at least 60. I was trying to remember. Match 3 was the G1 match, which was one of the best G1 matches of all time.
The 2 out of 3 falls one, I literally had to remind myself to breathe.
Yeah.
There was a point where I was like, Mel, breathe. You're going to pass out. It's like,
you're not even in the match. Calm down.
I know. And John put it to me. He said, my butt cheeks have never been that clenched in my entire life. I was like, oh my God.
Facts. Facts. Yeah, I can't. Oh God, I can't wait. I wonder how long they're going to get Sunday or Saturday, because that's a stacked.
Dude, that pay-per-view is going to be
and
so
the way this is playing out, I don't know that it's main eventing. It should.
I don't know, because
but I
think a Texas death match for the championship.
That's what I think. Mox and Hangman is closing, which not a bad match. That does deserve a main event.
It's just wild.
Okada Omega 5 deserves a main event. Tony versus Mercedes deserves a main event. And so, and yes, we are spoiled little wrestling fans.
Yes, we are. These are some first world wrestling
these 3 incredible matches. And not even, we're going to get to the other, we'll talk about the stipulations, because we've got the incredible tag match coming. And that's on this card. And what do you open with? We'll talk about that next week at the pre-show, but maybe a gauntlet match because MJF is in it. MJF loves him to be in. If MJF isn't main eventing, he likes to open the show. So maybe the men's gauntlet match is the opener. I guess they would do them back to back. Probably, I would assume they do the gauntlet matches back to back. Again, we'll talk about that more on Saturday for the pre-show. But yeah. Crash said exactly the same. I was like, imagine when it's actually competing in those matches. It can be emotionally draining just watching them go at it. Yeah,
seriously.
It's just, you feel, and that's just the mark of great storytellers. You live and breathe with everything that they're doing, and you have to remind yourself to breathe or to unclench your butt cheeks, not to throw up.
those they're so great. I mean,
45 minutes minimum. You have to tell the story that they're telling. You have to do it. And I know, and I understand for AEW, and I try to remember, there are plenty of AEW fans who don't know this story. So to them, they feel like it's thrown together or it doesn't have the same emotional attachment to it that we have, because we talked about that a few weeks ago. And so maybe to some AEW fans who don't watch New Japan and don't know the lore and didn't watch this play out in real time, to them this is just another match, or this is not main event worthy. But for those of us who have experienced it in real time, there is nothing else to main event. I mean, at this rate, it feels like Hangman and Mox probably will main event, and we'll talk about that. But just like,
I'm just excited.
Lady V said, Mel said she would disown me as her child if I didn't go to All In since it's so close to me. So plan to finally get my ticket tomorrow.
Well, Lady she was on the fence. She was like saying she was on the fence and she had an opportunity. And I was like, girl, I have to live through you now.
Yeah, and so Lady B and I,
who am I going to live vicariously through here?
Potentially going together. I had talked about going with Lady B to the show with me and Nikki, but then I had car stuff come up, and then that kept putting things on hold. And I found $100 flights for me and Nikki, 100 a piece. Like, that does not happen. But then it was the hotel, and hotels, like literally the hotel, like I could use airline point, or I could use my credit card points to pay for the hotel, but both of the hotels that it would have covered, because I don't have like a huge amount of, I mean, I have a decent amount, but not enough. All the reviews were crappy. They were dirty, cockroaches, discolored towels. I was like, no. And then so the closer hotels that are like, and that was the other thing. They were like, 8 miles away from the stadium, which is a long Uber, long Uber drive to get there. So the closest hotel, the one that we looked at like 3 weeks ago, that was not sold out, because obviously the Sheraton is sold out because that's where they're doing Starcast. The Hyatt, $700 for 2 people.
Get the F out of here.
I spent $700 in a 5-day period on my car. And so I was like,
I'm sorry, excuse me, but that's extortionary, and there's that's BS. In this economy, are you serious?
Yeah, was
bullshit. I'm sorry, that's no. And no. Those hotels, this is
right. And we found a cheaper one for like $500.
This should not be allowed.
That's for 3 nights. That would be flying in on Thursday and leaving on Sunday. But then even if we moved it and just came in on Friday, because it's a Friday night, the rate is higher than it would be on Thursday. So we really wouldn't have saved that much of a difference going in between those. And so I did highly consider, apparently on Expedia, you can use Klarna. And I considered it, because that's where you make the payment plans, where you pay one, then you pay on it for 3 months. And I seriously considered it, but I was just like, I just don't know if I can make it work.
I like
and now
Expedia, because you can do as my friends in the independent contracting scene, because they travel much, like to call it, we don't like to use Airbnb because it usually doesn't pan out if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But Expedia has incorporated vetted like houses and apartments and stuff like that.
Yeah, those are expensive.
And the reason I figured that out is because I book with Delta, and Delta books third parties through Expedia. So I was like, well, screw this. I'll just go straight to the source, because I've been using Expedia since it came out.
Yeah.
It's one of my go-to travel apps. I actually went there, and I was finding the same Delta things that were on their site for $200 less. And I was just like, I'm going to go right to Expedia.
That makes sense.
Actually there you can get so if you want to do like an Airbnb style of thing, but you want to get one that isn't psychotic or horribly written, it's actually vetted, because these are ones that you can use your travel number. Like I can use my Delta Sky Miles on these. So and Delta doesn't just go around letting anybody use their Sky Miles.
Points. Well, and see, Capital One has the option, like when you're cashing in, because I have the travel card. And so that's what I was going to cash in my points for was via them. And I was going to do their hotel. And they had Airbnbs pop up, but the Airbnbs were like $800. Or they were also very big where it would, I mean, it was like,
it's like for 6 people.
Just me and Nikki. We don't need,
you guys need an apartment
we're basically coming to sleep, and we would be coming to sleep and like get ready for the show.
You need a place to put your shit and to sleep. I mean,
damn it. I did not think about this. The USDA guy. Thank you. Appreciate that. And I will definitely keep that in mind for now. That anything travel wise, always check with him. He's a hospitality consultant. He can tell us what the best that would be.
Oh, nice.
Why did I not think of that beforehand? And now, unless I call in sick to work Thursday and Friday. Unless I call in sick, because I was like, now I can't ask for time off. So unless I'm suddenly, oh no, I have FOMO-itis. I cannot miss out on this. I have to go. See, you heard it too. I thought it was just me. My throat was a little.
Oh, you know what sick. I thought it was? Aside from you've obviously had your voice area worked on before for reasons, but I often assume because you poor ladies and my husband are, and I also get it, but not like you, my friends, are affected by the air quality / allergy situation, which
the allergy situation has pretty much resolved myself. My boss doesn't know that. Don't send him this.
Well, the thing though is, and I'm pretty sure it's been just as disgustingly hot in your part of the world as it has in mine. And those air quality advisories are not so great.
It was 2 weeks ago. It was 100 degrees.
Yep, same. We had that 105 day.
And then, it was 100 degrees, and then like the humidity made it feel like 110 or something like that. And it was
105, and I think they was similar. And our dew point has not dropped. Like our plants are loving it.
Yes,
we have a very fertile backyard.
My poor chamomile died because it's been too hot. It didn't. That poor little delicate thing. And my dill did not make it either. That is also a very delicate little thing. But the rest of my plants, I've loved it.
Here, it's not like, it's literally, I am going to say it, it's not the heat, it's the freaking humidity here. It is, the air is heavy. Like you walk outside and you're just damp.
Yep.
You have to come inside to dry on, no matter how warm and it doesn't move.
Yeah.
It just sits there on you.
It's the worst. It's the worst. I hate it.
And it's not great for breathing. And we, of course, up north, and I know it kind of affects your systems, but it's still on fire up north, even though the people on the mainstream news don't tell you that. No. The north of Canada is still on fire, and that's still right in the line where you guys part are of at. So it's a little scary, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
When AEW finally comes to Detroit to do a pay-per-view, she said we have to girls trip it up.
It's actually really possible. Detroit Metro Airport is one of the top airports in the country. They usually have direct flights that are very reasonable from Arlington, from Austin, from all those areas, Houston, because I have a good friend who's from Texas, so he gets back and forth there. But I don't usually mark out about airports, but ours is really nice. We have a really they put a lot of work into
all the more reason to come girls trip it up there.
They've started doing this thing where they're collaborating with Detroit and local businesses to put them in the airport instead of like the big chains. So a bunch of the places that are now in there are either spin-offs of downtown Detroit restaurants that are really popular, or just a new business, but in the airport, by a Detroit business owner that was going to go open a pop-up cafe, but they were like, how about we give you a grant to do it in the airport instead?
That's awesome.
There's a whole,
so cool.
We call it the really long hallway, because to get to your departure thing is there for Delta, it's at the end of the McNamara terminal. So it's you're just walking this really long hallway, but it's got all these murals. It's got a light thing. It's got, there's tributes, there's museum, from the culture all around our town. We have a Tuskegee Airmen Museum is downtown, so they have a little setup in there. It's a really cool airport. I mean, what I love about it is that a lot of Detroit's obviously got the reputation Detroit's got, and it's come a really long way, and our mayor is excellent. It's such a great welcome to Detroit. I feel great about when people...
Well, to put the emphasis on a local, local stuff like that, that's really awesome.
It's just so nice because it's like when people land here for the first time, they get to like walk in there and see all that stuff. And it's like, welcome to our town. This is what we're actually fun and like.
That's a hell of a way to introduce yourself to somebody.
I genuinely hope that Tony is serious because I don't think he understands how well that would do. Detroit loves wrestling. No matter, I mean, it may not be the same wrestling as you, but this town in this area, like Grand Rapids, like WWE sells out everywhere here. Everywhere. Every time. Wrestling shows are full. It's as John Muse once said to me, if you can't find a wrestling show in Detroit, you're not looking hard enough because you should be able to throw a rock and find one. It would be so fun. And that would be even awesomer if you guys all made a girls trip up here because
there's
so much cool crap out here for you guys to see. And there's stuff I haven't even done yet that I would do with you. There's the Henry Ford Museum. We've got the Thomas Edison. We've got Greenfield Village is what I'm thinking of. You guys would love Greenfield Village. You and Nikki would love it.
So what you're saying is we need to plan extra days into our
No, what I'm saying is that we need to hammer Tony.
Okay.
We need to get a group of angry timekeepers together. And I'm sure John Muse will support it once he finds out. To hammer Tony to hold to his guarantees and promises.
Right.
Like all bookers do.
Of course.
And bring a pay-per-view to the 313.
Yeah.
Because it would be a good time. And I would love it if you guys came to we're really working on fixing up our basement space so that the hotel issue wouldn't be a problem necessarily for you.
Well, we love to see it. So Tony, hurry up.
So,
or give
not
them time
too hurry
to do
because
stuff.
we're getting there. We're getting to the fixing it place once we start making some money again.
Yeah. Plan extra days. Okay.
Yes, and actually that's a great point. Just real quick, I'm going to give everyone an older lady information for all of you all. This is praxis. Put this in your mind. Take the day before you travel and the day after you travel off.
Yes.
When you're making your trip, so say you're going for a weekend, make sure you take the Friday off and the Monday off too, because you're going to need the day to get prepared so that you're not freaking out. So you get to the airport on time or whatever your travel way is. And you need the day after to come down because going straight back to work when you are done with, no matter what it is, even if
you work remotely, because I have done it.
You need the rest.
Your body is tired.
So when you plan your vacations, plan your days into your vacations.
Start drinking emergency a few days before your trip, so you start filling
or
up
whatever your variant of packeted.
I often get colds or get a cough when I travel, and so I drink emergency in the days leading up to it, and sometimes I will bring it with me and drink it on my trip.
That's smart.
to help with it.
Usually, like when I was on the plane, I masked.
Germs everywhere. People are gross and they don't wash their hands.
Well, and like when I was on the plane, I masked. Obviously, I'm immune compromised. It was one of the times where there was a big outbreak. It was during winter. I was like, for my own safety, I'm going to go ahead and do that because I still believe in science, and that's and I'm glad I did because a lot of people were coughing on that plane, and and then I literally walked by a person who was like talking about how he had just had COVID and was unmasked. And I was like, well, damn, I'm really glad I'm wearing this thing.
Right. People are
exactly. And sometimes I think it's really weird because
kids are kids and they just don't know better, but adults know better. And sometimes they just like sneeze into their hands.
Oh, adults it's ironic that when I was working with kids, we were all, teaching the kids to cough into your elbow and cough like this and cough into your arm. And the kids were so great about it. You give them the instructions and they follow the instructions, and then they just rinse and repeat, and there's no issues with it. But grown-ups, you're like, can you use this hand sanitizer? And they throw a tantrum.
Yes.
And see, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is why Mel worked with kids her entire career that she was allowed, and not with adults.
Sam likes working from. That's one of the perks of Sam working from home.
Because as I've always said, my 5-year-olds are supposed to act like 5-year-olds.
Right, exactly.
And on with the wrestling.
Yes, we have had wrestling. It's just been kind of all over the place. So yes, we will get in. Since we're speaking of All In, we will get into. So we had more matches. Obviously, came together between Dynamite and Collision, but 2 of those have stipulations, and so we've kind of touched on it already. So we'll start with Hangman comes out, cuts a promo. Moxley comes out. They are going back and forth. And Hangman's like, you know what? Make it a Texas death match. And I was like, oh no, was it Mox's idea to make it a Texas death match?
I thought it was.
I forget now which order it came in, but I was it wasn't Mox, because I was like, you dummy, Hangman, like excel.
Well, he kind of taunted him, and he was like, you don't want that,
right? Right.
So
I was like, have you, do you know Hangman's history in the Texas death matches? Do you know how many he had when he was champion? Have you seen the bangers that he had? Okay, it was Hangman's idea. I couldn't remember. Thank you, Fernando. But I was like, have you seen Hangman's Texas death matches with Lance Archer? Because those are incredible. Hangman is made for Texas death matches. His death matches are incredible, and I'm so glad. And clearly in Texas, you have to have a Texas death match.
Stands to reason. Or I'll give you my joke that I told Bob. They just call it a death match, though, in Texas.
kind of like now how they've changed it. I've noticed that Canadian Destroyers, if it is done by a Mexican wrestler, WWE calls it. I think AEW may do it too, but WWE calls them Mexican Destroyers when Penta does them now. Yeah, they won't call it a Canadian. They call it a Mexican Destroyer when Penta does them.
That's the silliest thing. You know what? That tracks. That's about WWE.
I mean, maybe it's also partially because of the AAA relationship, but yeah, they call it a Mexican Destroyer every time. Mexican Destroyer. I'm like, just call it a Destroyer then if you don't want to put. I mean, it was obviously a Canadian because the man who invented it, P.D. Williams, is Canadian, and so that's why it was a Canadian Destroyer. And I was like, so just call it a Destroyer. Listen, we can. It says hashtag stop using Destroyers for near falls. I say the more Destroyers, the better. But that's
Sam is a high.
Because I love them. But I do get your point. You're not completely wrong. However, I will never be mad at a Destroyer.
And I will never not think of Sam when I see one. So there we are.
I love them. I am a sicko.
We are sickos.
And I saw someone do a Canadian Destroyer on the top rope this week. Can't remember who, may have been in New Japan. Well, that sounds incredible.
Did that have to be called a Japanese Destroyer?
Probably.
Or we can start parsing it out and be like, it's a Tokyo Destroyer.
Yes, they have. That is right. Yes, Mox and Hangman have had a Texas death match before. Yes, and we're running it back, which we should.
Oh, you don't like that? You're not down for that?
No, Make says, nah, I love them, but it takes away the WWE's number. Using them more is going to make it mainstream AF, and it's a special move, and I don't know, that's just me. I get it. Get it. That's yes, and there is a code red where the code red is slightly different. I had to look it up to find out what the difference was, because Amazing Red is the one who created the code red.
Oh,
and
okay.
It is, and so which is why Zelina Vega uses it, because Amazing Red and Zelina Vega are cousins. So Zelina Vega uses the code red a lot. And the code blue is obviously the code red, but because she's sky blue, they changed the name. But it's slightly different. You hook the arms differently in the code red, and I think there's one other slight difference, but it's the way the arms are hooked when you go to do the move. And so that's because Darby Allin only does the code, like he only does the code red as well. And so and sometimes they are very similar, and so if they happen quickly and I'm on live coverage, I'm like, I'll say destroyer, and then commentary's like, no, code red, and I'm like, thank you, because you must have seen the way the arm was locked. So that is what the difference is. But then, like, so obviously, depending on who's doing it, like Penta always does the destroyer, so he never does the code red. Zelina always does code red. Darby also always does code red. And so generally I know who is going to do what. And so that is helpful, but they are really, really similar. It's just the way the arms are hooked underneath the body when they go to start the move. I believe that's like the key difference between the two. And then I know that destroyers got used a lot, and I think it's
like where I get Hurricane Ranas and Frankensteiners confused.
Yes, they are.
Because they're so close, but not exactly the same. And you can tell the difference when you're watching it if you're really, really, but sometimes I'm like, oh no, that was the other one. I got it wrong.
Yeah, and I think, and it's interesting because obviously WWE calls them clotheslines, but they're lariats everywhere, like everywhere else. And so if I'm on live coverage for WWE, I have to remember that they call them clotheslines and not like, I mean, like, lariat. It's not like I'm going to get in trouble if I write lariat, but like, I try to remember, like, WWE only uses the word clothesline, and they sometimes usually they'll say dives, but now they have started saying tope suicida more, but they do not say like tope con hello. Like they don't differentiate like that much. Speaking of MJF making fun of Excalibur for the tope con hello the other night, that line made me laugh when he was on commentary.
Don Callis, I'm sorry, had an excellent line that I'm going to repeat that was really gross, but I actually enjoyed.
About smelling the diverticulitis.
Diverticulitis.
He said it 2 weeks in a row because he said it before. He said it the week prior when he had Omega, before Ibushi came out there. He had Okada in the ring and he said it, and then he repeated it on commentary a week later. It's so gross, but also super on brand for Don Callis.
Oh yeah, it was like perfect. Don Callis.
Yeah.
He's just, there's no one quite like him. I love to hate that guy. Poison Ranas are also cool.
I do love Poison Ranas. They're so cool. And then Hechicero, I hate covering his matches because he invents moves on the spot. And I'm like, and the commentary's like, I don't know what to call that. And so I'm like, and sometimes I have written like Hechicero does some cool lucha move that he just invented. Like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what this is. And I hate having to like describe the move because I don't know what it's called. But then commentary is like, I don't know what that is. He just like invented what was that? And then there's like no Excalibur there to tell you what it might have been. And I was like, I love it. Just there. God, I hate covering his matches because he does a lot of things, and I'm like,
he just makes his own. He's like an.
Sometimes I will just write. Hechicero did lucha things because.
You know what you should say is he improvs his moves because that's what that's like.
I guess so, because I'm like,
he's so good he can improv a move on the fly like that, literally.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I don't.
These guys are crazy. I'm really enjoying the element.
I was like, obviously being in Texas, I think there's going to be a lot of CMLL guys involved in the men's gauntlet match.
Well, and like SoCal was the perfect venue too, and I think that people forget it's like all of those areas guys used to belong to that part of the world. But anyway, there's a lot of people that.
Yes, the Poison Ranas on the edge of the ring will just look so dangerous. I'm looking at you, Kyle Fletcher. If you have not watched Collision 100, go back and watch the main event between Kyle Fletcher and Daniel Garcia. It was a rematch of their C2 match. So good.
It was great.
Really, really good. And Kyle Fletcher is on a roll right now. The Kyle versus Kyle match from the Collision before, incredible. Like we talked about this before about how I also love the Spanish flies.
Good old Will Ospreay.
Kyle, like, on the one hand, like, I'm so happy for Kyle that he's getting this run because he's incredible and he has just improved so much even in just the last 2 years. But I hate it because that means we don't get Aussie Open. And Aussie Open was a top 5 tag team when they got signed, and the tag team desperately needs them. But also, you can't stop Kyle's momentum.
Yeah.
Like, you have to strap him and rocket to him and just let him go. And I hope whenever Mark Davis comes back, he can get into that groove he was finally getting into right before he got injured. And we are finally seeing Mark Davis be the singles wrestler that you and I know he can be, because we saw him in the New Japan Cup and we know he can go as a singles wrestler. And I hope
he can be a really good set piece for a future, like as a singles wrestler for a lot of different people. I mean, he could feud with almost anyone at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that.
I know. I mean, we saw like Aussie Open, amazing, but they did show what they could do in Super Juniors.
It was New Japan Cup.
Mark Davis New Japan Cup. I'm sorry, it was New Japan Cup. I was like, they're not juniors. That's not right. It's the next one. Yeah, but they did. I mean, so hopefully when he comes back, he can be a piece.
Yeah, he was finally really starting to hit that stride, especially when he started doing that like one-armed power bomb that he was doing, where he was like yanking people up by their ankles and
I feel like there's room in there for him. I hope he finds the spot.
I hope whenever he comes back. I know I mentioned it last week. I hope he returns in the gauntlet, because I was like, I hope he's healthy enough.
I have names to throw you for both gauntlets. So
okay.
So if we
might as well. You know what? We're all over the place. We might as well just go ahead and do it now.
All right. Well, all right, for the women, I have 3 names that I'm going to throw at you. 2 women and 1 man, and I just want your reactions. Okay. So for the women, Dakota Kai, Shayna Baszler. For the men,
I don't think is at her 90 days.
No,
Shayna can't. I don't think Shayna can come yet. I think Shayna, because she was just released with the last set. I don't know that Dakota is. I don't think Dakota is that. They were released at the same time. I don't know that somebody might be able to fact check this, or will fact check it between now and but I don't think either of them are at their 90 days yet. Okay. I could be wrong.
Now, and for the men, Michael Oku.
Ooh, that would be interesting.
He's feuded with Rocky.
He's got his U.S. visa. I did see that. He's
feuded with Rocky. He's feuded with Will. He had the match of the year that Dave Meltzer would not shut up about 2 years ago.
Right.
He was with Volador Jr., I believe. He had
one with Will Ospreay last year that I have not gone back to see.
Well, Ospreay, there was not last year, but the year before, him and Michael Oku had a match that was widely amongst many of my friends. And also Dave Meltzer wouldn't shut up about it. The match of the year. So
yeah,
so I just wanted to throw those names at you since we had already talked about possibilities.
Thank you. Laurent says that Shayna and Dakota still have just shy of a month left. That's what I thought. Yes, Isla could be, and I've heard she's AEW bound, so I could see if she. Wait, was Isla in the last one with Shayna and Dakota, or was she in the time before that with Cedric? I can't remember off the top of my head which one was which. I thought she was in the last one. It says every tag team has that one person in the team that's better as a single. Look at Sean, Jay, Brett, and Kyle is next. Oh no, 100% agree. But Mark is also very good. He gets overshadowed by Kyle. Nothing. Believe me, huge Kyle Fletcher fan. Love that guy.
Love him.
Mark Davis gets slept on too much, and I'm hoping. And he was. And the fans were starting to care about Mark Davis right before he got, which is why this injury sucks. I mean, any injury sucks, but he was finally starting to get it. Fans were starting to, I was seeing chatter online about him. They were starting to he was getting into his groove as a singles wrestler, and then he broke his foot. And I was like, I hate that for him. Hopefully he can regain that. But, Kyle Fletcher is just incredible, and you can't stop that. Okay, thank you. Dakota would be available in August. Yes. Ooh, I like that. Hazuki.
Huh. That could be cool.
And Hazuki and Mercedes, that match was so good. Yeah,
and Alex Windsor they announced last night.
Yes, I'm excited for her.
Me too.
I figured she'd be in the gauntlet because of the match. She cut the promo the week before where she yelled her name, Alex Windsor. like 4 times in a row. And then last night they were like, okay, we have the yelling excited one. Now I need you to tone it down a bit for this promo. And she only said her name one time. And it, I could see, oh yeah, Shayna, I think is going to do some Bloodsport stuff. And you know who would be interesting in Bloodsport is this man right here. Because I thought about that when I should have asked him, because we talked about BOSJ. But then I was thinking about it because Cedric, when he was on the Indies, his thing was kick to kill. And he had some, like, if you think that Kyle O'Reilly has some really hard hitting kicks, Cedric's has some like that. That wasn't something that he got to use as often in WWE. So then I was thinking about it. I was like, you know what? I was like, Cedric might be somebody good for Bloodsport that I'd like to see at least one time. I was like, maybe that's where he can run it back with Coda. Or maybe that's where he could run it back with Zack Sabre Jr. And I was telling Nikki last night, I was like, depending on how things play out, I was like, we might have to wait for Joey Janela and his spring break to make either Cedric versus Coda happen or Cedric versus the SJ happen. We might have to wait till Mania week next year for one or both of those matches to happen. But then that's when I started thinking about Bloodsport. And I was like, oh, Cedric and Bloodsport could be fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that would be.
I'm into that.
Yeah. Okay. So Isla Dawn was before Shayna and Dakota, so she could absolutely be in it. And she is rumored to be there. Yes. Kyle versus Kyle was fire. Yeah. Ali and Cedric, I am so glad they're running it back. They're got a Slammiversary match coming up. That'll be a good one. Alex brings willpower too. Yes. What about that's another one. Kanji, I've not gotten to see her yet, but I hear such great things about her every time. I know that actually Darius Lockhart is a really big fan of hers, and I think when he went and wrestled in the UK, he saw her there and was talking about, like, he's been putting her over. And then I know she had like a 5-star match with Mercedes a couple of months ago. Cool. And I've heard she's very, very good. I have yet to see her, which I need to change that. Ooh, Lady B says her wild card for the women's gauntlet is Beth Phoenix because her Legends deal expired.
Interesting.
Ooh, that could be fun.
I like this is a very bold prediction. I enjoy this.
I like that.
I like it.
Ooh, that would be fun. I like it. And then you can bring, Pope has got to come back because now he's not doing the thing with Christian because Christian's like, no, me and my son got to win the tag titles. But Cope's got to come back. So having Cope come back in the men's gauntlet and then Beth, believe me, Beth can come on her own. She doesn't need Cope. Like they could just, if they did not have Cope come back, like I'm not going to be mad if he don't come back at that. But that would be a cool thing to have a husband and wife team enter the gauntlet would be fun. And even if Beth doesn't do like a lot of things, even if she's just in the gauntlet match, like that would be cool.
Especially if they finally like get back together in Canada. Because Forbidden Door's in Canada, right?
Not Forbidden Door.
Forbidden Door.
All Out. Toronto.
That's right. All Out is in Canada. I was like, they're going back to the place where Forbidden Door was, is what it is.
Right.
But for all
Forbidden Door is in London.
That's right.
Because
Forbidden Door's in London.
Because Coldplay booked Wembley years in advance for the same weekend. So All In will be in Wembley next year. So got to get a passport and hopefully find a cheap place to stay in London. It's fine. It's fine.
We'll see how that goes.
Nyla was who I said last week that I hope that she's in this tournament just because I would like to see her and Emmy and Yuka. I'd like to see some of the ladies who were important to AEW at the beginning. I'd like to see. I was like, she doesn't have to win it. I just want to see her in it. She does a lot. I think she's doing some stuff backstage. I think that's what they've just kind of had her in a backstage role doing stuff. So she's still like involved, but not on screen, which is where I'd like to see her because I love her and she's funny. I interviewed her a few years ago and she was great. And I talked to her I was like, you're so funny. I was like, your Twitter game. I was like, nobody is on your level. And she was like, thanks. And was talking about her process of she had some she has some app on her phone to help her like make memes so that she could just like make them like on the spot. Like if she had an idea come to her, she could just go ahead and like execute it. She was great.
That's awesome.
I loved interviewing her. Yes, Christian is spending quality time with his son, Leave Him Be. Yes, the women's gauntlet could be an epic showcase. Didn't consider any of these. Chris Statlander is in there. And speaking of, I'm going to go back to Laurent's comment because it moved. But while we're on the topic of Chris won the Pro Wrestling Eve International title Friday night. So that is something to keep in mind.
That's the promotion that Will is booking, right?
Well, he's on creative, and he also produces.
Okay.
As what he does.
I thought he has some backstage
He's been doing that since last year, but it didn't come out until like February of this year. But I like this idea. Laurent says, bring all the women Mercedes has wrestled overseas.
Sounds good to me.
Could you imagine the amount of talent if they did that?
That would be the stupidest good match ever. It'd be so silly. Yeah. It'd be what women's evolution should actually look like.
Right. Yes. And so I want to know where this Chris Death Riders thing is going, because I need them to give Chris something to do that doesn't involve Willow. We had a break from Swerve and Hangman. I need Willow and Chris to have a break. I need something to happen there and that they go their separate ways for a little bit and we revisit it later. Because I was like,
I hear people talking about Stat potentially taking over Marina's role.
I've heard that too. And then
or becoming Hangman's bodyguard.
She doesn't need to be a bodyguard. She needs to wrestle.
That's what
Marina needs to wrestle too.
Well, her and Marina
if you saw Marina in Wrestling Revolver, like, because you saw ROH Marina, not the greatest stuff. And it was also what they were giving her. But I saw her in Pro Wrestling Revolver and was like, why isn't that Marina Shafir on my TV? Which is where John Moxley saw her, because John Moxley is heavily involved in Wrestling Revolver because it's in his area and he's friends with Sami Callihan and Jake Christ. And he's involved over there. And that's kind of like, I guess, where they developed having her involved in Death Riders, was because of the stuff she was doing there. And so but somebody made a tweet, somebody tweeted last night, something that I had not caught on to, and it goes back to little storytelling. When Yuta is with Death Riders, his hair is always in his eyes. But when he talks to Chris, he pushes his bangs out of his eyes and looks at her when he speaks to her. And so they were wondering why that is the case. Like, is it somebody said they think he puts his hair down in front of his eyes because he doesn't like the violence, because that he's not a violent person. And so that kind of shades them for what they're doing. But then some person's guess was that he is luring her in by looking her in the eyes, and then he's going to turn on her, which could be. Wheeler and Chris go back to, they trained, well, obviously the best friend stuff, but they trained at the same wrestling school. So I don't know if maybe he is kind of trying to lure her in under false pretenses, and then, they're going to turn on her. Or maybe he having some sort of, because she can see humanity in him, because he's the little brother they always pick on. They beat him up. Like, he got pounced out of the ring, and he tried to stand up using Marina, and Marina like shoved him. So like, maybe with Chris, like, maybe there's nothing to it, but knowing the way that these wrestlers like to play with, little pieces like that. It's something that Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, we were just talking about that.
Yep.
So it seems like Yuta might be kind of playing into that. And so now I'm going to notice it. Now you get to notice it too.
I saw someone else write it down too. So I'm glad you also picked up on it. You're stuck.
Yes, I do think she would get a good pop. I don't think so. Maybe we talked about this last week with Britt before all of the social media things happened this week, and about the rumor. One publication said that she had asked for her release. Other publication says, no, that's not true. They've never heard that. Regardless, I don't know that I would see her return there. Now that this has happened, perhaps they're like, let's just do it and put her in it. But I don't have a lot of, intel about what's going on there, but I don't know.
I don't necessarily
if she's in it, would I be surprised? No, not really.
No.
If they leave her out of it, I would also not be surprised.
Yeah.
I think the division has, and we've talked about it. The division has moved past her. And some of it is, yes, because she had serious injuries, and it nearly did not come back. But before her injuries, she already was getting lapped by some of the women, like Jamie Hayter, when Jamie was Hayter before she was injured, like when Jamie first got there, and you were seeing Britt kind of in these rooms, you could see that she was not on the level of some of these women. And I think now this division has lapped her a lot. And I don't know where she fits in anymore. And that's not to say that she was not important to this division, because she was in the the first couple of years. Britt was the women's division. But I mean, Mel and I we've talked about it before. Like, we were there when Britt could not cut a promo to save her life.
Oh my God. She's so bad at first.
They had to keep Swole. Like, Swole does not get the credit that she deserves in bringing Britt Baker to where she is as far as promos go, because Britt was injured, and yes, it was also during COVID time, so you have to make content, but they put Swole on TV every week to continue to build Britt's character, because Britt needed her, because Britt could not cut a promo to save her life. We all heard them. It was awful.
They were
bad. But they worked with her, and she got past it. And she's done some incredible things. Like, she's the first woman to have ever been involved in the main event on Dynamite. She's the first woman to be in a lights out match, in a steel cage match. Like, she's done a lot of things, and you can't take those things away from her. But I feel like the division has left her behind. And somebody made a tweet, or somebody tweeted, they made a comment. They tweeted that she is a goldfish. She's a goldfish in a division full of sharks. And unfortunately, I don't think they're wrong. And of course, I know her injuries played a lot into it. And she has worked her butt off to get back to where, just to even be in the ring. But I think that match with Mercedes was the beginning of the end for her in AEW. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe they've worked something out. Maybe she does come back. But from the way it looks to me, I feel like that was the beginning of the end for her. But maybe I'm wrong. Perhaps they do bring her back, and they've got something. Maybe they do have something substantial for her. Maybe she's been able to work out some of her stuff that she was having problems with. And but then, there's rumors that she re-injured herself. And maybe that's why she's not been on TV. But, that's obviously something she, may be dealing with privately and things like that. So but I would say I don't expect to see her in it. However, I would not be surprised if she is. But I think that it also may be on the heels because of what happened last week. And then you have Queen Aminata, who subtweeted her as well. So there's that as well. So yeah.
Yes.
So Lady B says that I think TK would put Britt in the gauntlet just for the "we fooled you, she's not leaving" for now. She still has a year or so on her contract. Guess she could just sit at home and do acting. And is she still doing her dentist stuff too, or has she
don't know.
I don't know. That's a fair point. Jeff Cobb said he wasn't leaving either.
True that.
Good point. Yes, it seems that way. Britt could repackage herself, though. That gimmick seems a little stale and dated for sure. She's definitely relying on 2020, 2019, 2021 Britt Baker. So a character change could be, good for her. Britt could lead a stable. I think that she's a good wrestler manager type, either to go from there after her hiatus. I mean, yeah, they might be able to make it work. I don't know. I just feel like, yeah. And Nikki said that Britt is more of a WWE superstar. And Nikki, I can confirm, Nikki has said that for a long time, that she doesn't mean it in a bad way, but she feels like some wrestlers are just better fits for like Jade Cargill is a much better fit for WWE.
Oh God, yes.
And that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a slang. It's just the way it is. You're you're more cut out for sports entertainment than pro wrestling.
And I think Jade knows that, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Go make your money. Go, but she thrives at that. They are in that type of a, in that type of a setting. I think that's tailor-made for her character is tailor-made for something like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Go get paid. Go do that. And so it's okay that sometimes certain wrestlers are better for certain things, and then it happens. And so we will, we'll see. And Laurent says Britt has to make it work in AEW because it would be even worse for her in WWE because the roster over there is deeper and more bigger stars than in AEW. I mean, that's a fair point. WWE has a lot of really great women, especially if you look at NXT. They've got Jordan Grace, they've got Julia, who's now on the main roster. Roxanne is on the main roster. You have Zara, who's the woman that came over from Australia that was really big there. There's a lot, and so she is gonna have to, make it work wherever she goes. It's funny that you say that because Rebel, I don't think she wrestles anymore. I mean, she has a podcast, but I think she had some injury issues. But maybe this was not a fair comparison to make the other day. But in the AEW division as it stands now, Britt is more on Rebel's level than she is on a Mercedes Moné level. That's how, I mean, of course, though, Mercedes is also on her own level, I think, anyway. So maybe that's an unfair comparison to make. But I feel like she's looking at this division, like she is on the level that Rebel was back in 2019 now at this point. And again, injuries have set her back, but also before her injuries, she also was not really advancing in the ring. She kind of got stagnant, which is the same argument that people have been making about Private Party, that they've been there for 6 years and didn't do anything to make themselves better. And now sounds like they are on their way out. But supposedly WWE has interest in them. So, we shall see how that plays out. Oh, that's an interesting theory. Laurent says if they had put Britt in the Death Rider story from the beginning, she could have made it work. I had not.
That's an interesting point. That may well be true, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, right. Lady B said some wrestlers need structure, direction, and sterner relationship. Britt would likely thrive under that environment. Yeah, I mean, for sure. Yes, I would agree that Harley is a better wrestler than Britt right now. But I think Harley, she didn't get, she was in WWE and never wrestled. They never had a match the entire time she was signed with them. She had not wrestled since she'd been on the indies, which is crazy to think about, and to see where she's at now and to see the strides that she's made. But she's worked, and I'm not to say, because I don't know what Britt's doing. I know she's been doing movies, and I don't know what her training is like. So I don't want to say that she's not working hard or anything like that. That's not where I'm going with this. But we've also seen Harley putting in the work with women like Mercedes. That's who she trains with. Mercedes. She trains with Shotzi. I mean, with Indy. She's training with other women and things like that. So I think that, and that's not to say that Britt's not working her butt off. I don't know what her training maybe she's doing.
We just don't know.
We don't know. But from what I have seen of Harley is, taking advantage of every opportunity that she gets, which is what she should be doing, especially because WWE put her on the sideline for how many of her years she was under her contract. So, and I don't know how long she's supposed to be out with her injury, because it was the TV injury was written in, but I heard it was to cover a real life injury. So I don't know when maybe she comes back in the gauntlet. Lady B said, I wish I cared more about Tony versus Mercedes as a story. Sure, the match will be great though. The whole eating dinners at ringside is throwing me off. But see, I thought that too until the lyric theory of them playing out the 7 deadly sins, and it makes so much more sense. So much more sense with that. Because Mercedes is gluttonous. She is prideful. She's obsessed with her titles. She's eating steak dinners and she's engaging in gluttony while these things are happening. Tony lusts after all of her opponents. She lusts after, and she is prideful too. And
I guess you got the envy for the belt, and
yeah,
you got the sloth.
She said, I think
sitting around eating when she should be actually wrestling.
Yeah, so that type of stuff, like, I think that plays interesting. I'm kind of interested. I don't really know what was happening the other day with, and I haven't seen any theories, but I haven't really looked either. So I don't know Tony's reaction during the match the other night when Tony just was kind of catatonic, and during that match while she was out there and she was staring ahead, like not sure exactly what was happening there. And I'm sure because Tony is brilliant, and I know there's a method behind everything that she does. So I'm kind of interested to see how that plays out. Lady B said she saw lyric theory. Her problem is the AEW on TV needs to show that fans coming up with better storylines and theories take me out of it too. I get it. I agree that they could have done a lot more for it, which I still, no matter what, I know there's varying stories about what was out there. I still think that Athena versus Mercedes was the story at some point, even if it did change to Tony versus Mercedes last year. I still think going into it, I think that was the story. And I feel like, and again, I know I played myself and I hyped myself up into wanting this.
It happens.
Part of it is me, but part of it is I saw with my own eyes what was happening.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, Lauren. To say this is the biggest women's match possible, they've done a poor job of making it feel important since that initial face-to-face, and it feels like the 4th most important match at the moment. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. The initial promo between them was so great, and just talking about how they've been on these similar paths and they both wanted more, and they both left WWE because they wanted more, and that wasn't enough for them. Like, I felt like that was a really great start to the story and understanding each other. And I guess part of the story has been Mercedes wants more. She wants more titles. Like, she even tweeted when there was a daily Chris Statlander account or something like that, and they tweeted about her winning that title, and Mercedes responded, and Chris responded, "Stay away from me." Like, so, you see, and then she's talking to Viva Van, because Viva Van also currently has 6 titles from Indies, and she is signed to ROH. She has a deal with them. She is signed, and so Mercedes is like, I bet you wouldn't put them on the line. Like, so Mercedes is still playing this, I want all the titles because I'm that great. I should be dripping in gold. I should have every single title because I am that good. Where Tony is, I need 1 title. I don't need all of these. But Tony is also, like, we go back to the story with Mariah. She liked Mariah because she loved Mariah because Mariah reminded her of herself. And she said, and I love me. So, like, you see that these things, but it's not quite connecting in the way that it should be, which is unfortunate because these women deserve better than that. And again, I agree. Well, I think the match is going to be incredible. I think that they're going to have, maybe I'm putting lofty expectations. I would not be surprised if they have a match of the year contender here. I think it's going to be an incredible match. Maybe we get a rematch at All Out. Maybe something like that happens, but I agree. I wanted more from the story. What are your thoughts on that, Mel?
I mean, it's so hard with the way that things played out, and I just feel like, but I do think that this has been a really big story, and because of the things that happen, I don't think that they should be punished necessarily for it either. Like, I feel like this should be up the card. It should be near the top. It's not the main event, but it should. This is like the penultimate match of this situation, regardless of Mariah May. And so it's whatever is going to happen next. we see. I mean, I'm not sure I even know. I'm not 100%. I know that it feels like it's time for Tony to win or lose the belt, but I'm not 100% sure she's going to either. So
I see both theories. I think Mercedes wins. I don't think she holds the TBS title for long because I don't think they want both titles to be on one woman.
Yeah.
But I feel like she will win it and then drop the TBS championship at All Out.
Okay.
I could be, maybe not. I feel like, because I think for Athena's story, before she starts losing titles, I mean, she did lose her strong title. So obviously she's not, we do see there are, she can be beaten. It can happen. I mean, and granted, and she wasn't pinned in that title. She lost that title in a 3-way without being pinned. So, she's still undefeated. Her losing to Toni Storm obviously would be a really incredible way for that to happen. Like, Toni is somebody there is no shame in losing to Toni Storm.
No.
At all. And so I see both. I do see both stories here. Yes, I agree with that. That was Mel's thought as well, that the women will main event at All Out in Toronto.
I did mention that could be that they could actually loop this around and bring it to a women's main in that particular situation. I just think I think it's still the possibility and the match remain. That is a match. That is still the match that needs to happen at some point, regardless.
And LaRon makes the point here again. Thank you again, LaRon. The only way to salvage Toni and Mercedes is to turn it into a trilogy where the rubber match main events a pay-per-view. Toni deserves a main event, a pay-per-view before her time as champ is over. I agree with you. I feel like Toni deserves the main event. I feel like Mercedes deserves the main event. Toni more, not that she deserves it more than Mercedes, but Toni, with the story she has been telling for the last 2.5 years or whatever it's been, she's earned that right to be. You can't be like, oh, they're just women, so they're getting it. No, she earned it. Yeah. Like, there is no person who has earned a main event more than Timeless Toni Storm. And I feel like this character deserves that. And then, of course, Mercedes doing the things that Mercedes is doing. She absolutely should be. She's main evented WrestleMania. There's no reason she should not be main eventing AEW pay-per-views, especially in year 6. And again, we could have avoided all of this being the first, this being whenever the first main event happens for women, if we had done it, 3 years ago, or we weren't waiting until halfway through year 6 to do it. That you put your own self in that position. But so I would say I agree with you there. I would like to see a trilogy. So I can see this match. So then, like, what if this match ends in a draw? Like, are we going to, how does that work?
Never even thought about that.
I hadn't either until it literally just came out of my mouth. What if this match ends in a draw? Would fans be disappointed that it didn't have a clean ending, but both women keep their titles if it ends in a draw? And then that sets up a rematch but can you wait until All Out to have a rematch? Because I don't think this is a match you put on Forbidden Door. I mean, you could, because Toni, I think
she did wrestle in the UK scene for a long time.
Yeah, and she did wrestle on the first Forbidden Door. So
yep, that's true.
So I would say All Out, unless they do the third one, if it is a trilogy like LaRon suggests, run it back at Forbidden Door, but then how do you get from Forbidden Door to All Out? Like, what happens to make you get a third match for the third consecutive pay-per-view in a row?
Yeah.
And then, but if they don't, like, how do you wait between if they don't do Forbidden Door, like, how do you get from All In to All Out and have that period? I mean, do you just have Mercedes dodging Toni for 6 weeks or whatever it is building up between the stories? Like, how do we get, that would be just, how do you get there with that? So I do like the idea of a trilogy between them.
I can get into that.
Because they're good enough to hold that. And maybe that's what brings maybe that's what helps the storyline get through a little bit better. Maria said, I'm sick of the narrative of Mercedes collecting belts is bad for women wrestling. For women's wrestling, nobody thought Kenny Omega was bad at collecting belts for men's wrestling. I agree. And good for Mercedes for saying the other day on the live to stop calling her Mercedes Hogan and to call her Mercedes Omega. And
that was awesome. I saw that.
She's 1,000,000% right.
Thank you. That was so good. I was like, right on, girl. I saw that tweet and was like, excellent. Because that's such a BS comparison for so many endless numbers of reasons I will not even begin to get into.
Right.
That's dumb. That's like apples and nails.
And also, as it has come up over the weekend, creative input is not the same as creative control. Mercedes Moné does not have creative control. She has creative input, which are two different things. And as Sean Ross Sapp pointed out, creative control would be in your contract, and you could sue them for not following along with it. That is not what creative input is. Hey, these are the things I would like to do. I think that Mercedes has worked hard enough over her 1,000 matches to have creative input in what she's doing. She is not forcing these companies to belt her. These companies are belting her because they want to. She brings eyeballs to their product. Had anybody hurt outside of maybe Vienna? Did anybody outside of Austria know anything about this promotion until Mercedes got that title? Were people paying, and Rev Pro, and I'm not saying that people weren't paying attention to them because Rev Pro is probably the biggest indie in England, but to have eyeballs, and she's coming, it's not like she's just taking these titles and you never see her again. Like, she goes and she defends these titles, and like CMLL they will take her, she will go down and wrestle in CMLL. She will wrestle in Mexico and defend that title. And apparently, Zeusys is injured. She has said, I don't know if that was why the decision to put the title on Mercedes was made, but she has been, prior to that match, she had been wrestling, I believe she said, with a torn meniscus for a month. And so she has to take time off now. So I believe that's why the title played a role in the title change happening when it did. And so Mercedes is elevating every title she has on her. I hate this thing of, she's just collecting it. No, you're just mad that she's not in WWE anymore. That's all it is. Or because she's black. We'll be honest.
And a girl.
Yes, that too.
Don't forget that.
Yeah.
That's like the worst.
Yes. It's insane. And she's putting women over. Like, don't compare her to Hogan.
The part I don't like about it is, it's like, if you don't see how her creative input is having a positive effect on this division, you're entirely missing the point. This gal is losing to people as much as she's winning.
Harley Cameron got a title match after winning 2 matches on the main. Actually, when the match was made, she had won 1 match on the main roster. Got a title match in Australia because Mercedes went to bat for her and asked to wrestle her. What are you talking about? She doesn't put
she makes
over.
everyone
Go watch the match with Indy. I keep hearing her match with Indy Hartwell at House of Glory. People say that's the best match Indy has ever had.
Nice. Yeah, because Mercedes puts people over all throughout the match. She makes them look like freaking stars.
And she trained with them. She trains with Indy. So she sees the work these women are putting in. Don't give me that shit about her. She doesn't put anybody over. Absolutely not. And
that's if you're not watching the same wrestling the rest of us are watching.
I bet that she would not go tattletale if people were trying to get a union put together. I don't think she would go tell Tony Khan about it if she heard about it.
I don't think that either.
Especially because of what she's trying to do. And like, literally, her whole mission statement when she came to AEW was, I am going to put women's wrestling over globally. Has she not been doing that for the last 400 days? I mean, maybe we are watching different wrestling.
Maybe. And you know what's interesting now that you bring up the union issue, and only because she's got to be a member of the Screen Actors Guild at this point.
Yeah, right.
Which is a union.
Exactly.
So she's now got experience with how that helps her negotiate her contracts and what benefits there are to that.
Yeah.
And she's not a dumb lady by any stretch of the imagination.
No, Mercedes
she's a smart
exactly
business lady. Like, now that you're saying that, because she understands the difference and how much bargaining, collective bargaining makes a difference in the entire thing, that's that's something that you could almost see happening. Because if it were going to happen, it would probably come out of the ladies division.
Probably.
Because we're more, I mean, Effie's very much, no offense, dude, but we're just more, I think, like, I mean, maybe some of the younger wrestlers, but I just don't think they see the benefit. They've been brainwashed into believing that a union is bad, just like a lot of us.
Right. Because, unions are not bad. We need them.
Unions are the best thing. Unions are protections for workers and our rights and our abilities to make money that we deserve.
In every sector, unions are important, whether that's pro wrestling, acting,
engineering,
being a doctor, whatever, writing, being a journalist in this country in 2025.
Oh my God.
You need to be protected. Unions are important in the auto industry, obviously. Like that's where some of, some incredible
unionization essentially was built where I am right now.
Yeah.
So,
right.
And for the best reasons ever. And they still hold power to this very day. And it sucks how much the teachers were taking. It sucks that we've been allowed to convince or be convinced by more powerful people that us having the ability to collectively say how we get treated at the thing that we spend most of our life at is a bad thing.
Right.
I think, again, it all comes down to misinformation and people not understanding the actual thing that exists. Is that the reason that you need that is because that gives you input in your life. So.
Yeah. And, the Crash makes a really good point. Mercedes is the heel. She has a CEO gimmick. Shouldn't she be pumped for a heel? Or should we be pumped for a heel winning all the belts?
Right.
Especially one that glorifies being a CEO. That's his angle on it. Excellent point.
Well, now you're just using logic, okay? And I don't know. That's not something that all wrestling fans utilize.
Yeah. And then, Lady B says creative input depends on who has the final say. Every talent could have input, depends on who's listening. Some leaders will listen to her input every time, some won't. Blame them, not her. Correct. And as Tony Khan has said on so many media calls that I have been on, in scrums that I have listened to, in interviews he has done, he makes the final call.
Right.
He will take input from people. Some people, he said he doesn't trust their input and he just listens and he nods, and then at the end of the day, he's the one who books the show. He is the head booker. Nobody else makes that decision but Tony Khan. That is that's what is happening here. And yes, don't blame her. And when Deanna made the comment on over the weekend, Deanna was not putting Mercedes down. She was saying she earned that spot and she would like to get to a point where she can earn the ability of having creative input where somebody would listen to her. That's all. She was not talking trash about Mercedes. She was not whining. I know that
people make up their own.
Apparently, that's the new thing. Is people anytime Deanna makes a comment, she's whining. Which can't have women be saying anything.
I think it's the internet's inability to take a sentence and do anything but take what they want out of it and turn it into a bunch of load of BS and
right.
Internet culture.
Lady B says, I think the problem people are having is people are upset that no other women besides Tony and Mercedes, previously Mariah, got a lot of TV time and attention. However, Mercedes isn't to blame for that. Yes, and they're not wrong. Those are good, which is why we've got to get this women's title out of from both of them. Like, because Tony has been in the title shot, in the title picture for over 2 years. She has held that title for a long time then obviously Mariah had it for a little bit and then she got it back. That title needs to be away from her. And I say that as someone who adores Timeless Toni Storm.
She's great.
I love her.
She's great. It's time.
Mercedes also, I still say she holds that TBS title till she breaks Jade Cargill's record. I feel like that's what we're doing here. She's going to hold it till she gets to 501 days at least. I feel like she's going to break the record. And so, yes, there is the problem of if Mercedes beats Toni, she has both titles, which is a problem because you don't want one woman holding both. But I feel like if that happens, she will not hold both of those titles for very long. And I feel like she loses the TBS title, especially if she wins the women's title, she loses the TBS title next. Actually, I take that back. I think the Rev Pro title she's losing during they have a big anniversary show the same weekend as Forbidden Door. I think I won't be surprised if she loses that then. And then the TBS championship maybe. But that is a problem that neither Mercedes nor Toni created by by holding these titles in the story. They did not create this issue. And if Mercedes does end up with both titles, I feel like it's temporary. It's to do the belt collector gimmick, to have it makes sense that Mercedes, for the character she has, it makes sense for her to hold both titles, whether she holds them for both titles for 30 days or 60 days till you get her to All Out. Then I could see, but it is a problem if one person is holding two belts, but it is also a problem if Timeless Toni Storm continues to hold that title when she has held it for so long, even if you count. I mean, I know, of course, there was the break where Mariah was champion, but still, outside of that, like, we got to get some new women in this title picture. But I think that's coming. I think it's happening, and I think the story will play out the way that it's supposed to, and it's not going to become like a Bloodline Roman Reigns story where it's like 1,300 days and all of that. I don't think that's happening there. Jermaine says that he believes that Mercedes will beat Toni. That I believe the winner of the Casino Gauntlet match will be rewarded with a vacant TBS title. Oh, do you think so? You think she's vacating the TBS title if she beats Mercedes? I mean, Toni. I hadn't considered that possibility. I would have just assumed because she's a belt collector, she would hold both of them. I didn't think about her potentially vacating it. They could. That could get rid of the problem of her holding both titles.
Mm-hmm.
But then,
I don't know. The 500 days thing seems like a big wrestling sticking point, though.
Yes, because I feel like Athena is absolute. Now that I know that Athena will be champion for 1,000 days at Supercard of Honor, I don't see her dropping it till Could she drop it at Supercard of Honor? Absolutely, because she would come into the show holding it for 1,000 days. I could see her losing it at Supercard, and that would give them time to hopefully get their shit together and build a story for somebody to topple her. And I know it's the ROH title, and we'll get to the ROH thing in a second. And I get that people they think it's a downgrade to have that title, which I get, but also to be the person to dethrone Athena, that is huge for them. And I feel like if it's not going to be Billy, it should be Queen Aminata.
Mm-hmm.
That's who I would love, or Trish Adora. Would I be mad if Thunder Rosa was the ROH champion? No. But I feel like it would do more for Queen Aminata. But then again, Queen Aminata maybe she wins the pure title. Maybe she becomes the first ever pure champion. She's a very hard hitter, and this stuff, like, she slapped the shit out of Tekla last night. She slapped her so hard.
Wow.
Jesus. So, and I get it. I know the ROH has been booked the way it's been booked, but I still think whoever beats Athena to dethrone her, that is a huge deal, and I hope that they are booked like a huge deal, but that also is a whole other conversation because of the way that this is booked. I've seen that too, that potentially the woman who wins the gauntlet cashes in at All In. That's why I feel like the 2 gauntlet matches happen early in the show to even just to at least create the possibility. Does it happen? Maybe not. But to create the illusion that it could potentially happen makes it more exciting. And I think that happens. Laurent says that he doesn't think she's vacating the title. Someone needs to beat her to get that rub. I feel like that too. And I feel like that's what Mercedes would want.
Yeah, I think that too, probably. But I mean, anything's possible because you don't know where they're going.
Yes. And so we talked about the stipulation about the Texas Death Match, but there's also a stipulation added between the Bucks and Ospreay Swerve. And the Bucks had already had Swerve and Ospreay wanted them. If they win, they can no longer be EVPs, which obviously would just be on TV, not in real life. Just be their TV characters. But then the Young Bucks were like, okay, well, if that's how you're going to play us, if we win, then neither of you can challenge for the world title. Oh, no, wait. No, it was
for
Will
a
who
year.
Said, wait, I take that back. Ospreay is the one who said it because Swerve was like, what are you doing? And so for 1 year, Ospreay or Swerve can challenge for the world championship if they lose that belt. I mean, they lose that match, which means to me the Bucks are winning that match. That's how
I heard it too, because that makes it so that people won't be asking questions about why Will isn't the champion yet. And that around this time next year or early in the earlier part of next year, Will be the champion. He will be the one to take the belt
and it
off
sets up Will
Hangman.
to win All In Wembley to win the title next year. If All In is going to be in Wembley, 1 year to the date would be All In next year, which would be.
That tells me that not only is Hangman holding the belt for a long time if he wins, it tells me also that's what the match is later.
I think I still depends on how things play out. I feel like Omega takes that title off Hangman.
Okay.
Then you could do Omega Ospreay.
Oh, that'd be Omega Ospreay 3.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, maybe that's not how it works out. I feel like Omega holds that title just because probably within the next year, because we don't know how
much longer
Omega is going to be able to wrestle because
that's
of his
fair,
health.
right?
I feel like they may just do it next year, and that Omega taking the title off of Hangman because they were former tag team partners. I think that makes a lot of sense. You could do that. And then you've got, and then somebody, I think it was Josiah made the point to me last night that potentially when Ospreay, whenever he wins it, he thinks it'll be next year at Wembley too. But then Kyle Fletcher will be the one to take the title off of Ospreay because of that, which would be
that's
really incredible if they did that. Also, the way I was telling Nikki this yesterday, and of course there's other talent, the way things are currently going, and of course we don't know how next year will unfold. I don't see how you have Darby Allin be a champion over any of these men. I don't see him being, I don't see how you put it on him over Hangman. I don't see how you put it on him over Ospreay or Omega or even Swerve or Kyle Fletcher. I don't see that. And I know part of that has just been me, that, I have, not that Darby is not great for AEW. I have my feelings about him because of speaking out. So I personally do not want to see him as world champion for that very reason. I don't want somebody who was named and speaking out by at least 2 women to be the champion of AEW. But I know how wrestling works. And I know that sometimes it doesn't matter. The man he's been TNT champion multiple times. He's been tag team champion. Clearly they don't have an issue with it or whatever. They don't believe, maybe they believe him, whatever it is. But I also feel like with the caliber of talent that they have, I just don't see how you make him the face of the company over any of those.
How can you justify doing that when that person's been committed to doing something entirely separate from AEW, while the rest of the people that are in AEW are committed to AEW? Like, I'm not saying anything. He's still contracted with them, but he chose to climb Mount Everest and not be present for AEW events and AEW tapings. And so to bring him back in cold turkey and have him beat a champion, to me, would completely devalue. That's like the same thing they do with the women when they brought Ronda Rousey in and were like, haha, all the work you put in for the last 3 months didn't matter.
Yeah. Like, yeah. I mean, that's a fair point.
No, and that's a reality. Darby chose, that's his choice. He chose to climb Mount Everest.
Yeah.
So good on him. But all these other people have been working on this for the last time.
And again, like, I go back to Kyle Fletcher, like, he has been on this insane ascent. And I feel like, do I think he'll be champion before? Like, I could see him going, maybe he's not a world champion in 2026. Maybe it is 2027. I do see him being a champion, though. I see it more in him than I do Daniel Garcia. And that's not to take anything away from Daniel Garcia, because I think Daniel Garcia is incredible. But I feel like I could see Kyle Fletcher being the face of AEW before I could see him or Darby being the face of AEW. And Darby brings his own thing to AEW, and he is good at what he does, but is what he does enough to be the face of your company?
But he's not even present right now.
Right.
I guess my biggest issue is like the people are working on what they're working on versus what he's working on. It's like he's got different priorities, and that's totally okay, but that doesn't mean you just get to waltz back in here and say.
And I know there's the story of like, okay, well, he's written off TV because of the Death Riders, and he comes to avenge it and takes the title off.
Take some time with it, I guess.
But yeah, I think Hangman wins the title. I don't see Mox retaining. Could Darby potentially? Because apparently Darby is off. Because that was our question last week: is Darby off the mountain? Apparently he is. I guess they didn't publicize it for reasons. Perhaps if he shows up, there's a possibility that he comes back at All In. If he comes back at All In, I don't see it, I don't see him wrestling. Maybe he gets in a coffin drop or two. Does he help Hangman beat Moxley? That's certainly what a lot of people think is going to happen, and they think perhaps this is where Sting comes in. Danielson perhaps comes back. Maybe they all help Hangman beat Jon Moxley. I could see that being what they do here. I don't see Darby doing much more than that,
because it
still has to get used to being back, not on a mountain.
Yeah. I mean, I guess because it's a Texas death match, there could be a lot of, obviously the Death Riders are not going to stay out of the issue. So
right. So then you have to, so who do you have for that?
Who does Hangman have for backup?
Right. Is that where Eddie Kingston returns? Does he return to help? Because Jon Moxley has partnered with his arch nemesis and says, that's my number one guy. I'd die for him. You would do what? Not on my watch. You don't deserve that title. I'm helping Hangman over here. Crash made a point, and I cannot remember. Maybe I have blocked it from my memory. Did Omega say he never wanted to hold the world title again ages ago?
It's possible.
I know.
I wouldn't put it past Kenny.
I know Cody did, and we saw how that worked out.
Yeah.
And also, wrestlers lie. We also know that, thanks to Cody and Bryan Danielson. But I mean, would I be surprised if Kenny Omega never holds the title again before he retires? No. But selfishly, I want him to hold it again. But Crash, I really can't remember. You could be correct, and I could have just
I don't remember.
It could have slipped out of my brain. Lady B said Will versus Swerve in the ON next year, I'm assuming. I like that.
That's good.
I like
good
it.
Booking.
I like it. Yes. Dominant, strong women's champions are very important for women's wrestling. Just wrestling. Yeah, 100%. Lady B says, I wonder if the unified title factors into, as they're promoting it as equal to the world title, which, when the TNT title was first created, it was also
supposed to be on the
Tony
same
Khan
level.
was adamant that they were seen as on the same level, and he was booking it that way in the beginning and for a good while. So now that they're doing this, then perhaps, if they do promote it that way, then maybe Kenny just has that, and he makes the unified title. Maybe he's the one who holds it for a long time, and he makes it into being as the same level, because I keep forgetting that they've talked about that. So Lady B, that's a really good point. But maybe that is how they do that. Maybe says, considering the belt has been in a case and not seen, Darby could have just been like, I'm taking it to Everest with me.
It's true. It's very true.
Yeah. Jermaine says that if Swerve loses his tag match, will he turn around and cost Hangman the world title at All In? I hope not.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, it's possible, but I guess we're kind of trying to move against that way. So, I mean, that's always a factor. I think as long as Swerve is around when there's a Hangman match happening, they could do that. Especially if he's pissed off enough at Will for making that happen. He can be like, well, screw Hangman. Nikki said she's going to keep saying that Kingston is going to run in against Mox until it actually happens.
Fair. It's totally fair.
He could. MJF takes the championship from Hangman. Well,
he is looking to get his Triple B back.
That's the whole reason he's with the Hurt Syndicate. They have feuded for a very long time. That certainly makes a lot of sense. They definitely, especially if Omega is the one who's here to elevate the unified titles, then sure. Fernando, that's a good point. That's somebody we have to, factor in with that. That's how I feel about it, Maria. And I know some of that is just because of my feelings towards him in general. But yes. Laurent says they need to establish a hierarchy for these titles. I think the unified title will be the world title for Collision. They could do that. And because the TNT title is obviously, because it's on TNT. It is, and that's, I absolutely, since we're talking about the TNT title, we haven't really talked about it. It was made official last night, so I'm going to spoil the main event for you. If you haven't watched Collision 100, I'm going to spoil it. So the match opens with story time with Adam Cole, baby. Kyle comes out. He challenges him for the title. Daniel Garcia is like, now, wait a minute. I would like my title back. And Kyle Fletcher was like, I beat you. And Daniel says, who hasn't beaten me? What's your point? So then they were already wrestling in the main event. And then they made the stipulate. Adam Cole was like, okay, you're already fighting. Make it a number one contendership match. Whoever wins this match, I'll face it all in. Or no, I'm sorry. Daniel Garcia wanted a triple threat. That's what it was. And Kyle Fletcher was like, absolutely not. I have been fighting for this. You don't need to be involved. Then they were like, all right, we'll do this for the number one contendership. Kyle Fletcher wins. And so made it official. Kyle Fletcher versus Adam Cole is happening, and Kyle Fletcher is absolutely winning that title. He's absolutely winning it. Does he win it clean? I don't know. Can he beat Adam Cole clean? Yes, absolutely. Is he going to because of Don Callis' family?
TBD.
Maybe that's where Mark Davis returns. Maybe Mark Davis comes and helps Kyle win. I mean, he's mad at Kyle, but Don Callis told Mark Davis, you want a job, you have to be part of the Don Callis family. That's so Don Callis could direct him, hey, you're here. This is what you do. Go make sure Kyle wins that title. Do not let Adam Cole leave with that title. You could do that too. So I absolutely, regardless whether it's clean or not, absolutely see Kyle Fletcher winning that title. Lady B said AEW is hosting after party on site for All In. So that calmed any fears I had of Moxley winning. No way they're throwing a party. An after party if Mox wins. What a bad party. Listen, I love John Moxley. However,
it's time.
It's time. This is the story. It's time. And I want to see what happens with Death Riders without the title. Where do we go from here? I don't think it's an immediate implosion. I feel like they'll stay together for a while. And then, speaking of Death Riders, we had Claudio in a backstage segment challenge the Ops for the trios titles. You just standing there. Pac is injured. back? We have no timetable when he comes back. Does Pac return in time for this match? Or does somebody wrestle for him? And somebody in Slack's theory was that it's Gabe Kidd, which I don't want. Oof. It could work, I guess. Gabe is in the G1, right?
I don't know.
I assume that he's.
I am not caught up.
I think that Gabe Kidd is in the G1. I'm pretty sure he was already in it. He's not one of the play. Because bless Hiroki Goto, he got injured in the Zack Sabre Jr. match. He injured his elbow. He's out of the G1. We're doing the 4-way. I don't think it's happened yet. The 4-way match. They're doing a play-in match for all the 4 who didn't get in it. It's Ishii, Goto, Chase Owens, and Taichi. Wait, did Taichi get it? Did the match happen and Taichi get in? I feel like I saw something this morning about Taichi, but I could be wrong.
Again, I'm pretty.
Regardless, I just don't want it to be anybody but Chase Owens. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see him in this tournament. Yeah. And I think Ishii is having another hot boy summer in AEW. Mm-hmm. I think that's his summers are tied in with AEW now, and he gets to come here and he gets to do that here. And then also, listen, I would take Eddie Kingston as a champion any day of the week. Regardless, I love that man.
Taichi won according to USVA.
Yeah, Cole did seem to be hoping Danny would win. That would piss me off if I was Daniel Garcia. Like, he's the best case scenario for Cole to retain. Right. Yes. Lauren says when Mox and Tony lose their titles, they don't need to be in the world title scene for a while. 100% agree. John Moxley needs his damn vacation.
Yeah, right.
He was supposed
He's been carrying the company for quite some time now. He can take a little quick break.
Let that man go on vacation give him
hang out with your kid. Go hang out with your wife.
It was supposed to be 6 weeks last time. Make it 8.
Yeah, right.
Give him 10. Whatever. Let him take some time off. Laurent says that he thinks that it'll be Jack Perry or Gabe Kidd that takes Pac's spot. I think Gabe makes the most sense because he was just involved with them. I like Mox. It's a shame the Death Riders in this lawsuit. He was good in Japan as well, and we look identical, but I don't have any muscles. I love John Moxley. I don't hate the Death Rider story as much as some people. I get it. Like, I get why people don't like it. I 100% get it, but I like it. I don't hate it. There's some things, sure. Do I wish there were some changes? Absolutely. Do I wish that they had leaned in way more to the story that was told on in the interview with Renee? 1,000%, because I think that story would have been so much better, and I think people would have understood it better and would not have hated it so much. But that's not a John Moxley problem. Also, I mean, I guess part of it is because his did not really convey that so much. So yes, I guess part of it is a John Moxley problem. But okay, thank you. I thought I saw something about Taichi winning. Thank God it wasn't Chase Owens. Nikki said she was mad when she said it was probably going to be Gabe. Stop forcing Gabe on me. Like, well, and Mariah's gone, so more Gabe Kidd can happen. I heard the Soul shows were really good. I just haven't had a chance to get.
I just need time.
Watch the.
I haven't even gotten time to start the bear yet. I'm frustrated.
Also, I heard that there was a 6-person match at GCW show last night. It was, it had Megan Bain, Billy Starks, Mia Yamashita, Marcus Mathers, Jordan Oliver, and Alec Price. And I saw several tweets talking about how good it was, and a couple people said it was a match of the year contender. So I was like, I might just go to GCW just to watch that match, because sometimes that's where I get to, is just to watch the one. Oh, and also I was gonna talk. So another match that was made official last night. So there was the so originally Kevin Knight challenged Shelton Benjamin to a one-on-one match for Collision 100. And then Tony was like, hey, let's add Nick Wayne, because Nick and Christian also want these tag titles. And so Kevin Knight wins the match. It was a really, really good match. We all know Shelton Benjamin can still go, but good Lord, seeing him in there with Kevin Knight and Nick Wayne was a lot of fun. But then they decided that now the tag, it's a triple threat. They'll be defending Hurt Syndicate will be defending their titles versus Jet Speed and Nick and Christian. So I don't know if Hurt Syndicate drops it there, because I feel like they're gonna hurry up and I feel like having Christian and Nick win so they can go into Toronto as champions is probably the plan. However, Hurt Syndicate maybe we build the story a bit longer, have the Hurt Syndicate retain, then do a one-on-one match with them, perhaps, with just Hurt Syndicate and Christian and Nick, and then that's where Christian and Nick win, and then they go into Toronto as champions, because they're not doing Christian versus Cope. I still don't think they're even doing it in Toronto at this point. Oh, thank you, Lady B. Cheers, broads. How do we save my beloved Kevin Knight from looking like a geek? Don't know if winning it All In can save it.
I don't know what they're doing there.
I wish I had the answer.
Yeah, that
is
upsetting.
Jet Speed is super over. Fans love both of them.
Mm-hmm.
They love them together. They love them separately. On the other hand, the Hurt Syndicate hurts people, and you have to build them up dominantly. But somebody has to take those titles off of them. Jet Speed seems like maybe I still maintain that Hounds of Hell were the plan was for them to drop the titles to Hounds of Hell at All In. Buddy Murphy's foot
got hurt. Yep.
Is holding things up. So they're like, okay, Hurt Syndicate can hold it. And then Jet Speed was not supposed to be a tag team. It happened. But then you've punked him out after Kevin Knight comes in, saves your ass when Jay White gets injured, steps up, has incredible matches. Then you have Kevin go off to BOSJ, do his thing. Speedball's doing his thing. Come back together. They're this incredible force. They're a really great tag team. The tag team division needs somebody like them. And then you put them through tables.
Yeah.
And then you have them. But then I guess on Wednesday, you have them keep fighting back, and they keep coming back, and they keep coming back. You can't kill them, which I guess gets the fans on their side. And then you have Kevin Knight beat Shelton Benjamin and Nick Wayne. But what happens when they don't win those titles on Saturday? Then what? I want better for Kevin Knight. I don't
either, or Speedball, because it's stupid and they're really popular.
But especially Tony put over Kevin Knight in the last media call, talked about how great he is and how BOSJ happened at an unfortunate time because Kevin was killing it. Then Kevin comes back and he does kill it. And
maybe they need to drop the tag team title so they can help MJF get his stupid Triple B back.
I don't know. Yeah, I have mixed feelings because I really like Hurt Syndicate. They're super over. But they're not doing anything. They're not elevating tag teams when you're killing them. But on the other hand, they're literally the Hurt Syndicate. They should be hurting them. But what happens when you deplete your entire tag team division?
Yeah.
And I don't want to see FTR anywhere near the titles, because they are part of the reason that division got killed, because they were holding those titles hostage, and teams were not getting elevated under them. Then we saw it happen. Private Party was clearly not ready when they were champions. That was not great. And also their title run sucked because of how it was booked. And then so you bring in the Hurt Syndicate to elevate it, and which they have. I don't want to say that they're holding anybody back, but then you have they beat the Guns. Haven't seen them since then. They've beaten pretty much everybody. So Jet Speed seemed kind of like the logical option because they were super over. Nick and Christian makes sense because you can get, Christian obviously is one of the greatest tag team champions ever. Nick Wayne is incredible. He wants to see the story through. But this came out of nowhere 3 weeks ago. Do you put the titles on them that fast? Or do you make them wait until, and then maybe have them win the titles in Toronto, which I guess you could do that. But here, I know that was the question and we got all sidetracked, but I don't know. But they got to fix it because I need you to not make Kevin look like a
yeah.
Let's see here. There's some thoughts in the comments here. Make Beat says that you're an agent of chaos.
It happens.
Kevin Knight is also really good on the mic, and he's good on commentary. I really enjoyed him on the BOSJ commentary. He's really funny. I did not know how funny he was until he came to AEW and started tweeting more often, and he's got a ton of charisma. You know, maybe we should do something with that. But I don't know. I'm just a dumb timekeeper. What do I know? I mean, I wouldn't be mad if they got left off the All In card, but that's just me. Because I don't like
if them. Only.
As if you are new here. I have not made that. Crush says exactly Hurt Syndicate are monsters, and in fairness, they've had good balanced matches on pay-per-view level at the same time. It looks up maybe the Outrunners because that was not great. I'm fine with the way they've booked them to date. Yeah, I go back and forth, like I'm split because like I see the argument, but like on the one hand, like that's literally their job, but on the other hand, like you need to build up a team who can eventually defeat you. And since we don't know what's going on, Buddy Murphy doesn't even know what's going on with his foot. You can't count on on Hounds of Hell coming back in time for that to happen. So you got to do something else. USB gas said there's only one man that can take down Hurt Syndicate. Minoru Suzuki should challenge Shelton. Shelton would be more than love to take out his former boss. Oh, God, that would be fun.
That would be good. I'm into that.
Does Suzuki just take both titles, or does he have a tag team partner?
I don't know. I'm in.
Yes.
Sign me up.
LaRon says FTR elevated the Outrunners last night, but their match was longer than the main event. I swear, if we talk about contracts, I feel like it feels like FTR is contracted to have half-hour matches because they are always, especially if they're going to main event. When they main event Collision, they're so long all the time. And that match I enjoyed the match last night, but it was way too long. Way too long. And I was like, of course, because I was like, oh, they're not in the main event. They're not going to go. And then I was like, oh, just kidding. It's FTR. Of course they're going to take 20 minutes and beat them and do all that. But yeah, Nikki was, we were complaining about how long that match was.
It was pretty long.
It was giving us the New
Japan. It was
Japan
good, but it was
finishes.
long.
It was very long. Perhaps I can't really remember the Outrunners, but thought they had some good comeback moments. That was always going to be a squash. Right. Outrunners need more momentum. Still just a comic sideshow. They could be more too. I think last night's match probably that's the reason they had the match last night, was to get them over. They didn't have to take 25 minutes or however long to do it. Nikki says people want about Mercedes all the time. Talk about FTR's bitch. Yeah, they are a lot of the reasons that the tag team got stifled. The tag team division got stifled when they were champions, and I don't want to see them anywhere near those titles anytime soon. Because the title is they're still trying to fix it. But yes, I know we've kept you here for a while, so I guess we'll quickly get to the only reason I put the ROH rebrand question mark is because Tony did an interview a couple of days ago, and somebody asked him about touche. But so Tony was asked about a comment like a year ago, I guess Tony made about potentially rebranding ROH to AEW presents ROH, or like AEW with a little not semicolon, but the 2 dots, ROH, like that. And we were all like, no, that's not going to fix things. And so apparently he brought it up, and he was like, oh, good question. And he was like, I can't remember if I screenshot his exact answer, but I did. He made some comments about something else that did not go over well, and I'm sure it's going to be asked on Tuesday. I will ask it if it is not asked before I get to it. It was his comment about potentially running state-sponsored shows.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And I need him to clarify it. But I'm sure because certain companies that like to frame things for clickbait worded it, try to twist his words around a little bit. And so I think that so somebody will ask if it'll get clarified. Somebody may get to it before I do, but it's on my list of questions. So here's the comment about ROH though. He said, I still think there's a great chance to develop ROH. We really have done a lot of work to develop ROH. They are unique companies structurally, which, fair. I think that does make a lot of sense, and I still think there's merit to that, as in putting it as, rebranding them. He said, but there are a lot of reasons why I position ROH the way that I have. Ring of Honor, I still think we have a chance to strike great opportunities. He's talking about media rights deals, and he says, so it's something he's considering. Now, I think we've done a great job positioning the company as leaders with leading champions like Athena and Bandito. The name of the program is not the problem, Tony Khan. That's not the problem.
Yeah, that was my initial reaction when I saw this. I was like, why? For what?
Yeah, so
to what end? I mean, unless you're like bringing it under your daddy's umbrella because you can't continue to fund it with your own money.
I don't think it's that.
I don't either.
I think it's the idea of maybe we can get a media rights deal if AEW's name is on it. If it's like it's WWE, NXT.
That's what it smells like to me. WWE, I mean, when I read that, I went,
well, AEW, ROH.
Yeah.
But I don't, that's not gonna fix the issue.
Yes, it definitely has an HBO Max HBO feel to it. When he said it, I was like, wow, he's way too deep into this Warner Brothers situation.
Apparently. Yeah. Laurent says they can call RH whatever they want until they address the issues plaguing the product. It's not going to matter. Right. Yes.
This was my thought. Hearing it from you.
Yes. I was like, we'll just throw it on there because I know people are going to ask, or maybe you won't. Maybe you don't care.
I mean, I guess
somebody made it that way where you don't care.
That gets it on TV. Fine.
I saw somebody, maybe it was Righteous Bridge that was talking about at this point, put it on YouTube, leave the library on Honor Club, charge for that, put on weekly YouTube shows, and make people invest in the product that way. And then see if it gets to a point where either you put it back on the network and people pay for it, or if you put it on True TV or something and put it there. But the name is not the problem.
No.
Ring of Honor has name recognition for wrestling fans. That's not the problem.
No, it's not that. That seems silly to me. I mean, he almost he feels like he's throwing things at the wall to see if they stick.
Laurent says there's no way he can believe ROH is a good product because it's not. Dustin Rhodes, who I like, same, is a double champion, and it just goes down here from there. And we're going into Texas. And so I have not seen the match yet, but I did see that they made it official. The Infantry beat Top Flight. Apparently there was some shenanigans, which surprising, I know. But the Infantry should absolutely 100% beat Sons of Texas for those titles, because I've been saying they need to be tag team champions forever. Dustin Rhodes is not losing in Texas. I mean, Sammy Guevara, that they're probably not going to make him lose in Texas either because he's the other half of Sons of Texas. But Dustin Rhodes is absolutely not losing in Texas.
Yeah, I don't see that.
Would it be great for the Infantry? 100%.
Sure.
Is Tony going to do it? No.
Probably not.
I don't, unless he's going to shock me and I will make me eat my words. I don't see it happening. And then I'm mad again because they don't need those titles. And I do love Dustin as well, which I've been saying is I love Dustin. Huge fan of his.
Of course.
Then we don't even defend the trios titles when 2/3 of them are hurt. But of course we don't vacate those titles because nobody cares about ROH. So why hold them? I don't know what's up with the ROH. That's a good question. Again, I did not watch ROH this week, so maybe there was something related to those titles. But up until this point, nothing really, because the Von Erichs have been injured. They wrestled like a few weeks ago and haven't been seen since. The Von Erichs are not going to lose in Texas either.
Probably
if
not,
they do end up having this match, I fully expect if both matches happen, Dustin still walks out double champion. Mm-hmm. Then you have Death Before Dishonor in Philly in September, and hopefully they make it right and they both lose. I think Dustin loses both titles there. Yeah, that's fair that there's an issue with wrestling in general and belting veterans over up-and-comers, and there's not necessarily an issue with veterans losing because they have earned it. But I do think the Von Erichs injury obviously changed things, but that's when you vacate. But they did the same thing when Wheeler Yuta had a concussion and missed 4 months. They did not strip him of his pure title. They didn't make an interim champion when they should have. So it's because it's ROH and they can get away with it. And they just have pissed off ROH, the 12 of us who watched. They can deal with the 12 of us being mad.
It's not the name, it's the effort.
Yes.
Plain and simple.
You can call it whatever you want.
But if you're not going to put any more effort into doing things like that, or obvious things like that, where you don't make the belts feel important. I mean, that's basic stuff. Yes. That should be booking 101, right? I mean,
should be. And yes, I have been saying this. Nikki has been saying it.
I know.
Strap Shane Taylor Promotions, every single one of them. I want them all. There is no reason ROH should not have all of them dripping in gold. There's just no reason for it. Especially, there's plenty of titles to go around. I don't know. They have, unless they did it on Thursday, they have not released the bracket. Now I'm wondering if the tournament starts. Stupid. Wonder if it starts at Supercard and they crown the champion at Death Before Dishonor is what I'm wondering, because it's September the 5th and it's the Philly show. That's when the arena, 2300 arena shows that series is starting. That's my guess. I don't know. I would assume, like a normal logical person, that we would be belting the Pure Women's Champion at Supercard of Honor, but clearly that is just too insane to even consider. So maybe we're starting the tournament at Supercard and then we're going to belt somebody at Supercard. I mean, at Death Before Dishonor. But who TF knows? I don't know that Tony even knows at this point. Maybe I'll ask him that.
There you go.
On Tuesday. What TF are you doing with Ring of Honor? He's going to be like, stop asking Ring of Honor questions. I did see. I know it's because All In starts early on Saturday, but Seahawk is going as media to Supercard, and they sent an email. There will not be a scrum after Supercard of Honor.
That's not a good sign.
I think it's because ROH is so early. It's so early, not ROH, AEW. All In is so early that VIPs can start showing up at 8 a.m. on Saturday. That's how early. And I know that's why the scrum is not happening, but it's funny given everything else happening with that company. Hey, you know what? Why not? Let RJ City book the whole thing, or someone up and coming. It needs to have a run of it on its own steam. I've been saying to give the book to Danielson. I don't know if he wants it, but I'm going to throw it. I'm going to make him have it. Let him have it. Chris Hero had been doing a little bit, but Chris Hero was also booking West Coast Pro. So that's like his priority. Shane Taylor Promotions is incredible. I love all of them. I've been a huge Shane Taylor fan since ROH when Sinclair owned them. That dude is incredible. He needs the title. Yes, the Swerve, the gambling stuff was a lot of fun when they had the infantry out there gambling.
Yeah.
And they got Tony Schiavone in on it. Yes, they could be doing so much more with ROH. There are plenty of good people at AEW not being used that can help reestablish. And there's people who are coming from the indies who don't really know how to work TV stuff. They can learn down there.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to make it a complete developmental, but like there's plenty of talent that should be on there. God, I would love that. If Shane Taylor, I can see Shane Taylor being a monster big guy with singles gold and AEW, either him or Brody King with the. Please sign me up, inject it into my.
That was great.
I will take both of those. Yes, I want Danielson. Make him do it. And we are, before we get out of here, yes, we are going to address Scorpio Sky. So I saw Thursday because it was taped, or I saw it on Wednesday because our collision was taped. So I knew, I saw it.
I didn't know because I didn't
saw it on
my
timeline. Somebody was at the tapings. Actually, who I saw it from actually was Ryan Satin, and I was like, I'm not retweeting that dude. So I went and I searched Scorpio Sky's name and found other people tweeting about it that were at the show and retweeted them. So I knew he had come back, and then I saw another picture and Max Caster was in the ring. So I knew that's who I knew he came back for that. And I knew he was involved with Christopher Daniels, but I didn't. And I saw the picture. Max Caster's in the ring. He's up there with Top Flight and Layla Gray. And I was like, why are they involved? So I didn't know about that until last night when they aired the video. I did scare our dog when I saw it because I gasped so loudly. And I said, oh my God, Nikki, guess what is happening? Guess who's back? And she was like, I don't know. And I was like, Scorpio Sky. So we freaked out because we've been watching.
We freaked out last night when we saw him because we were assuming you were freaking out.
So. I was freaking, like I knew he was coming, and
you still freaked out.
Was marking out because I said,
but especially because of the match that was going on, I was like, oh my God, this is like the perfect return and everything. I was like, they booked this for Nikki and Stan. They must be flipping out right now.
I was like, I knew it was coming. Like I had to stop, like, because I was obviously typing like a couple of things and stuff, and I was like, I have to stop.
That was why I actually had to tweet at you. I don't usually do it.
I did see your tweet. I was so excited, and it feels like they have something substantial for him. It's not just here, damn, you asked about it. No, it looks like
they're actually
we'll put him on TV for a minute. You'll never see him again. Like it wasn't like that. It feels like because they show the package I thought was really cool. It's telling everybody who Scorpio Sky is. He's been champion before. Christopher Daniels is here. That just obviously they were in a tag team together, but having Christopher Daniels involved just makes them even that more legitimate. Then you have him. I'm pretty sure because I went back and listened. I think because I thought I heard it last night. It sounds like they said they're Sky Flight. So Top Flight, I guess, is with him now. And Layla, which I like Top Flight being kind of rebranded because they're just kind of flailing around, not knowing what to do. They're going back and forth between ROH and AEW. They're not obviously in the tag title picture. They needed something. I like all of it. And Hill Scorpio Sky is so good. And it feels like, so last week when I jokingly said, or I said it was an outside shot, perhaps Scorpio Sky comes back in the gauntlet. Then I saw that Wednesday and I was like, that's why I quote tweeted our video. And I was like, maybe it's not so much of an outside shot. Maybe not. Do I expect Scorpio Sky to win? No, I don't expect that. But could he be in this tournament now in the gauntlet match? Yes, he very likely will be. And he looked great. Yes, it was Ontario, California. He is from SoCal. That's, SCU, obviously that's what it stands for. But he got a huge reaction when he came out, and he got new gear. I think you're muted, Mel. I think you're muted.
I am. Everyone I know was excited. The Discord was excited. The socials were excited. It was very fun. I was so happy. I mean, obviously love Scorpio Sky, but you've been banging that drum for such a long time. I was like, oh my God, sweet vindication.
And somebody made the point, when Scorpio was kind of like, I guess when it came out that he came back, and, and it's a fair point. Like some people who were early AEW talent don't fit into current day. Britt Baker is a prime example of that. Could this happen with Scorpio Sky? Absolutely. Perhaps, it passed him by and it isn't. But in the meantime, we have Aviation Elite
That's pretty funny. Well done.
Yes.
It worked. Oh my gosh, yeah, you're right.
Skyflight. Hopefully Skyflight takes off.
Cute.
Hey. So. This is the most insane thing. I heard it, and I had to have Nikki repeat it to me to make sure I heard what I heard. Scorpio Sky was not on TV for 658 days. Part of it was injury early on, but that man has been healthy for well over a year, and they just weren't using him. They teased him twice. They teased him with Private Party. They had the little vignette of him, and he's clearly a heel. Nothing ever came of it. Then they quit talking about him. Then, thankfully, Kimmy, who was at a press conference, asked about Scorpio Sky, and that's maybe I don't know if that's what started it. Maybe things were in the works. Whatever it was, if I will give credit to Kimmy, if Kimmy is the one who made it.
Whatever the reason was, thank goodness.
Yes. So, I'm so happy. Obviously, he's back. It feels like he's getting something substantial. And then after tweeting about him yesterday, I realized, and I've heard this before, but I realized how many people absolutely hated Dan Lambert and ATT, because I absolutely hated it. They killed Men of the Year. Men of the Year were fine without them. They did not need Dan Lambert at all, especially when Ethan, not that Scorpio's bad on the mic, but Ethan Page can cut promos. There was no need to put them with Dan Lambert. That was like the nail in the coffin for them. And AT&T, I hated it. That's one of my least favorite things that AEW has ever done.
Yeah,
was the AT&T
basically
stuff.
Put that out of my mind until you just said that.
I hated it. I could not stand it. Yes, that might have been the worst act ever. And that is saying something when you have the nightmare stuff that they were doing with Brandy.
Yeah, and when Adam Cole and MJF started to get stale.
Well, yeah, the devil stuff was pretty. That's pretty.
That was on. That was really borderline. They were pushing the edges.
Yeah, I mean, I hated like in theory, like the Brandy Rhodes stuff with Awesome Kong and Mel could have been really cool, but the execution of it was terrible. Awesome Kong deserved better than that.
Yeah,
Mel deserved better than that. She's gone now. Mm-hmm. Like that didn't work for her. Luckily it brought us Luther.
True story.
So at least we got that out of it.
And we do get the wonderfulness of Luther.
Yeah. 20 months.
Nice. That's crazy.
That is insane.
Wild.
20 months is great. Especially because, yes, he was injured for a portion of it, but he's been healthy longer.
He's just getting paid. He's just been getting
injured. Yeah. And, maybe some people were like, well, maybe he likes to get paid to not work. Maybe he does. But
maybe.
He was doing indie stuff. He's not a whole lot, but he's done it. Like he's been wrestling more in Southern California recently. So I'm just very glad that he's back.
Me too.
I'm so excited. I hope this story works out. It feels like I was talking to somebody yesterday. It feels like he's had a couple of moments where he could have been bigger and then it didn't work out for whatever reason. And I feel like Scorpio at the time that when he was first TNT champion, I predicted that he would have been world champion within 18 to 24 months. But then they signed Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, and it was actually it was even before they brought in CM Punk. It was Danielson, Cole, and who am I forgetting? I just talked about this last night. I'm blanking on the third person, and rightfully so. You don't turn down those men, clearly. But that changed the trajectory that AEW was on. And I often wonder, had those people not been brought in, what would AEW look like? Would Scorpio Sky have been a world champion? Where would Proud and Powerful have been tag team champions? Would Best Friends have been tag team champions? Like, where were we going before this happened? And and perhaps they don't get the media rights deal with these people. Maybe you need these bigger names, but I often wonder, like, where was AEW going if they had not gotten those people and then just kind of changed the trajectory there? And I feel like Scorpio is one of the guys that kind of got some of the originals just got kind of shoved to the side. And that's where some of that animosity came in towards the WWE people, which is not their fault. I mean, people got, you can't say, and you can't blame them for that happening. But then but like they pushed a lot of people aside. And yes, Lauren, I will forever be mad about Proud and Powerful and Best Friends never being tag team champions. It's a huge missed opportunity, and it is one of the biggest mistakes Tony Khan ever made.
Sucks.
And that is the hill I will die on. Especially when you see what that tag team division was like at the time and how deep it was, and then you see the tag team division currently, and what are we doing here?
Don't know.
But I think we have covered everything and more.
We did. Oh, and we should remind everyone, and we need to get off here since they need the thing.
Yes, I was going to say, since we've been talking so long, it's almost time for the watch back.
Yeah,
with Garrett and Steven and Jeremy. They are going to be talking about Omega Okada 1 that is starting in a half an hour. It will be live. They're going to talk about that.
You can just leave this on in the background because they'll be right back.
Good. Yeah, we'll be right back. Do like the scrums when you're waiting. I don't think we have any waiting music for you, but
no,
we'll be right here on this network. And then we will be live on Saturday. We are still working out the exact time that we will start. Time flies when you're having fun.
True story.
And when you're complaining again about wrestling.
True.
And unions. Thank you.
Thank you all for hanging out. It's been a really fun day.
Thank you for your questions and for hanging out with us and interacting with us. And then so Saturday we will be back for the pre-show. Since we talk a lot, maybe we should come on at 11 a.m.
Probably.
Time. Let us know what works for you. Can you be here at 11 a.m. Eastern time, or you be here at 11:30? Can you come at noon? You'll get here when you get here? That also works.
Yeah. Wizard time.
So we will be here Saturday at some time. Make sure if you're following us on social media, we're posting it, or make sure you turn your notifications on, or just turn on YouTube and Saturday. Like, what time does Sam and Mel decide to come on? And we will have a guest on briefly as well, so maybe we will come on at 11 a.m. Wednesday, maybe 11:30. We'll figure it out. The absolute latest will be noon. We will not go on we will not start any later than that, because the pre-show, the AEW pre-show starts at 1:00. So we will absolutely be on at least by 12. We may go on at 11. We will let you know on social media, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out with us, everyone. Have a great